Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-hosts, John Luke Garofalo and Andrew Cooper. What's up, boys?
What up?
Hello.
The dichotomy of the two co-host entrances, and I'm not even sure I used dichotomy properly there.
Yeah, absolutely did not.
Yeah. Depends on your definition of dichotomy.
It depends on what language you're using.
We call that intro the duality of man.
The duality of man. Presented
We've been
by
working on it. We've been
Please
working on
do.
it.
I'm Wality.
Duality. Yeah. We've been working on kind of
short.
we're working on kind of new intro segments kind of
Yeah.
behind the scenes, JL and I.
Just workshop it, you know. It's the off season. It's the time you do it.
Right, yeah. There's another one we've been thinking about doing where you take we're each one of us going to take like a handful of Benadryl and we call it a race against the clock.
Until you fall asleep.
Yeah. The old race against the clock segment. What do you guys think about that?
I've done something like that before on accident in high school. I had a real bad headache, and so I went to go take some like ibuprofen or something in the medicine cabinet. Grabbed 3
Is it
ounce bottle.
ibuprofen or something?
It was
you were just reckless going in there like, I'll take whatever.
I took a sip of my drink, looked down at the bottle, and saw that it was Motrin PM, and was like, I got about 30 minutes to get to school, or I'm not going to school today.
Oh no.
And I just hopped in the car and fell asleep in my first class.
Oh no.
But we made it, baby.
We made it.
Well,
You slept
everyone,
all that.
stay tuned for the upcoming show, Alan Wow, starring Bettor Al and John Luke Garofalo. Alan Wow are just going to
Alan Wow.
absolutely kill it out there.
Wow.
We got Craig in the chat this morning saying, Morning, Kings. Be kind to
Morning,
your peasants
Craig.
today.
Craigster.
What's up, Craig?
We don't have peasants, Craig. We just got friends.
We're all kings in
we're all
Fran
hogs.
fantasy space.
We're all hog kings.
The Hog King.
Hog king, dude. I
Well,
feel like
royalty.
that's a great nickname for Creed Humphrey. The Hog,
The Hog
King.
King.
Hog King's kind of a sick name.
Hog King, it gives me Dwight Schrute vibes. It gives me Beat King or whatever he calls the king there. Like it gives like an equivalent of Dwight Schrute, but someone who's really into like meat preparation.
Kind of sounds like a dope guy.
Coop's like, sign me up.
But
We got Tommy in the chat this morning with a poem for us bright and early. Tommy, the poet, wrote for us. It was the final game between the U.S. and Japan, with everything on the line to see who is the man. USA jumped out front when Tuner drilled a seed, but Japan roared back and took a 2-1 lead. Tensions were high as the game rolled on, but with just one swing in the fourth, and it's gone. USA down by 2 with 2 innings to go. Schwarber goes yard and makes it a show. Bottom of the ninth, down 1 and 2 out. Ohtani on the mound. At the plate stood Mike Trout. Angel versus Angel as the clock neared 11. Please don't end. Oh, man, is this heaven? 2 of the best when it comes down to this. Will Trout go yard? Ohtani can't miss. Japan for the win. They showed us the door. Arigato, my friends. You are champions once more.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's an impressive poem. But is your R key not working? Because I'm pretty sure it's Turner that hit the home run, and it was Schwarber that hit the next one.
Well, you know what? While you're busy picking apart the missing R's in this, I just want to say, Tommy, this is your first foray into deep diving on a single event. It seems like, instead of really giving me like the overall broad news. And I got to say, I'm a fan. This one really flowed, my friend. That was awesome. Tommy's like, R is broken.
Do you guys know what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Yes, I know what he's talking. What a condescending question.
I don't know. Sometimes with other sports, you guys are just like, no.
You guys aware of one of the largest sporting
You guys
events in the world
ever-
going on right now?
You
You
guys,
guys ever heard
familiar
of
with?
Ultimate Super Frisbee?
Are you familiar with hockey,
You heard of baseball?
baseball?
I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's this new sport people are playing called baseball.
It's supposed
Yes,
to be all
but
the rage.
The World Baseball Classic Championship game was yesterday, and Tommy giving us a nice little recap with that poem. Appreciate it, Tommy.
Yeah.
And good morning to everybody else in the chat. Thank you for joining us. It is that time of morning, though. If we got some snacks, you get them out now because it's time for breakfast. We got the news. We got the stories. You're responsible for one thing and one thing only, and that is bringing your own breakfast. John Luke, you got something to munch on this morning?
Oh yeah, this nice glass of water.
Mm-hmm.
Crunch.
You can eat that all at once.
Yeah, I think so. I'll get another one during the break.
I'm holding the boys down with a standard breakfast: bagel, chocolate milk, coffee. Let's go.
Blueberry
Wow.
scone,
Fired up.
full stack of pancakes,
Full
French
lobster.
toast,
Full stack.
lobster,
Wow.
Sorry,
Oh.
breakfast lobster.
Lobster bisque.
shepherd's pie,
Yep. So pretty standard breakfast.
Sterling's pie.
Pretty average American breakfast.
American pie.
Dude, did you have the full English while you were abroad?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Did you eat beans for breakfast?
Yeah, and the beans are awesome. I mean, like, the thing is, anytime you have that much stuff on a plate, there's going to be stuff you don't like. That's the problem with English breakfast. Like, why is there got to be like a mushroom and a tomato on there? Like, I don't need. It should be more like they have the full list of English breakfast things, and you pick like 7 that you like instead of getting like 10 absurd things on your plate.
Yeah, hold the blood pudding, please.
Yeah, blood pudding was all right.
Cubes like that.
Blood
It's
sausage.
no beans. It's no beans, but blood sausage is pretty good.
Yeah. How do you two vegan/vegetarian folks feel about blood sausage?
Blood sausage.
Here's where I
Don't think
stand.
about it much.
I would eat it if placed in front of me, not to be rude, and for the experience of knowing what it tastes like once, because I've never tried it. But I'm not like excited by the idea of blood sausage.
You're a real
I
trooper.
don't personally eat it, but every time I see somebody eating it, I just think, man, that's cool what they're putting in their body.
That's weird. Yeah, I mean, it just tastes like regular sausage, so it's nothing crazy.
Yeah, they really didn't have to do it dirty by naming it blood sausage.
Yeah. Well,
Enjoy that blood sausage all up in your mouth.
I think that's probably reached our
Smells great.
max for blood sausage this morning. Blood sausage.
We'll hit it
chatter.
again on the top of the next hour.
Yeah.
So if you need more blood sausage stock, it's coming your way.
That's been the blood sausage segment. Another segment that we're kind of hammering out.
Well, to kick us off, we've kind of been waiting to see what the Bills were going to do at running back. And they just signed former Patriots running back Damien Harris to a 1-year contract with a base value of $1.7 million. So no big moves, a pretty small deal for Damien Harris, $1.7 million 1 year.
Yeah, and I talked
He's
about
old.
this right when they signed James Robinson. I was like, man, I hope Damien Harris gets paid because I kind of like Damien Harris better than James Robinson. So this kind of surprised me because the James Robinson deal, we don't quite know the full details yet, but they said 2 years up to $8 million. So if Damien Harris is 1 year 1.4 or 1.7, what was it? 1.4?
1.7 for Damien Harris.
1.7. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like they must like James Robinson better than him. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
Yeah, it seems odd to me, but whenever they're signing in the same offseason for the same position, same length of deal, it's hard not to compare directly.
Yeah, Damien Harris has looked good whenever he's been in. The problem with him is that he was an older prospect, and so he's 26 now, and so he hasn't had a ton of years of NFL experience compared to other running backs his age. He's getting older, which makes sense why he might get a lower contract. I don't hate this landing spot though.
No, the one thing I do hate about it though is I feel like it's just we're gonna have a lack of clarity at the running back position in one of the most high-powered offenses in the league. It'd be really nice just to have like the guy, right? But instead now it's James Cook, James Robinson, Damien Harris, probably a mixture of all three of those guys. I'll take James Cook because I imagine he's probably going to handle most of the passing downs work. And then I'm probably just avoiding the other two, even though there's most likely going to be value to be had. I just don't know where it's going to land.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like a guy like Damon Harris, he's somebody I'll be much more interested in best ball than anything else, right? Because he's definitely going to score touchdowns on that team. The question is when, and I don't think he's going to catch a ton of passes. So the bad games are probably going to be bad, and the good games are probably going to be games where he scores a touchdown, which means he's going to score 10 fantasy points. So I can't really trust that in redraft leagues, but in best ball, I have no problem with it.
I could totally see them just making him this goal line guy. Of course, Josh Allen's going to take a lot of that, but he's just like such a good power runner.
Yeah, he's got that. He's got that in the bag of tricks for sure. It's one less landing spot for Zeke Elliott. That said, I don't think Zeke was taking 1 year, 1.7 million.
Probably not.
No, he's going to need a little bit more than that.
Unless he wanted that ring.
We'll see how much more, though. I'm curious. I don't know why, but it made me think of the tweet. Did you guys see OBJ come out? There were reports that he was looking for $20 million, and he came out and tweeted, I don't know where they're getting 20 million from. I'm just saying more than 4.
Right. Yeah.
And so that looks like the kind of offers that some of these players like Ezekiel Elliott, Odell Beckham Jr., maybe these elders, the wrong word, but in the NFL, these aging players that were at the peaks of their career that maybe aren't anymore.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, like we always picture the wide receiver market always going up. But this year, the league didn't do that. Like we thought, like, oh well, these are the best guys, so they're going to get paid a ton of money. The league turned around and was like, you know what? There just isn't a great free agent wide receiver this year, so everybody, we're going to cap it at $11 million. Nobody's getting 15, 20, $25 million, right? Because the top guys are getting 25, even 30. But the best guys in this class got like 11. So I'm not surprised at all that Odell has to it. I mean, even if he said that, you got to backtrack now, because if the top guys in this class are getting 11, you're not going to get 20. Not even close.
Yeah.
Greg
wants to know what age is the peak of an FYF morning show host?
Let me think of what age I am. 34, going up on 34, I believe is
12. That's what peak. I said. We all peaked in middle school.
Yeah, that is strong. Those are strong times, but we're able to carry some of those stories over to now. Keep it going.
Damn, I was the most popular kid in middle school. It all came crashing down in high school.
I actually heard that. I heard that you were like the coolest.
And then everyone said, "What happened?"
Oh no!
What could have been, right?
What a train wreck!
See, I was about 4'6" and 100% like hairless everywhere except on top of my head in middle school. I was like the epitome of prepubescent and begging to be bullied, but had enough confidence not to.
That should be the name of your book, your autobiography.
Prepubescent and begging to be bullied. The Simon Grunewald story.
And you're on the cover. You're on the cover, just like there it is. Right
Simon Secrets.
We got Albert in here saying good morning, everyone. What's up, Albert? Good morning,
Albert.
Morning, champ. Albert's the man. Speaking of guys who are the man, Thomas Davis. Do you guys remember him? Former Panther linebacker.
Yeah,
indeed.
Played through multiple ACL tears. Was the NFL Man of the Year for his charity work. Just an overall great guy. He still hanging around the Panthers organization. Kind of, I'm not sure. So we see this all the time where people close to the team will put out information, and we don't know if it's legitimate information. We don't know if it's information that the team wants him to put out to maybe try and increase the value of the picks or throw some sort of smokescreen. But he came out and said that he believes that the Panthers' first overall pick is going to be a very, very surprising pick. And he's aware that a couple of guys upstairs are enamored with the athleticism of Anthony Richardson. What do you think about Thomas Davis, guy close to the organization, coming out saying, hey, don't be surprised if they go a little crazy with this first pick?
I think that you should take this with a grain of salt, but that is not necessarily untrue. I mean, he's a top prospect. I think we're all expecting Anthony Richardson to. I don't think any of us would be surprised if he goes to the top 10 picks. So for him to go at 1 isn't crazy surprising.
I'm with you. We expect Bryce Young or CJ Stroud at this point. That's been the narrative.
I think those are the better choices.
Right. And that's what we're expecting, but you're 100% right, Joe. This is reminiscent of the year whenever it was Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, right? And there were legitimate arguments to be made for why each one of those players should be the number 1 pick overall. There was the Josh Rosen camp, there was the Baker Mayfield camp, and then probably most similar to Anthony Richardson, there was the Josh Allen camp. He is incredibly raw, unproven. His college tape doesn't look great, but holy cow, look at the athleticism in that dude, right? And so Baker Mayfield ended up going first overall. I think the more likely outcome is we get a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud, but I'm not going to be shocked. I'm not going to be shocked to see Anthony Richardson go first. We've had recent years with kind of a tier of 3 at the beginning where we're unsure who's going to go out of that group.
Now, do you?
Yes.
You good there? What was
Do you boys think that there's a possibility here that they are
opossum or possum?
Is there an opossum ability that they're trying to flip this pick for even more than they got if they like multiple, like say maybe the Colts have a quarterback they really like, maybe do a little flipsy doodle with them, go down to 4 and take whoever's left over, and kind of
there's nearly a 99% chance that they're trying to do that. Because I think we're already seeing them do that. We're seeing the actual moves. We can look at it and say, yeah, that's them trying to do that. Right? They got the pick immediately. They're like, yeah, we're interested in selling it. I don't think they're going to get anybody to overpay because they overpaid. But we'll see if it works.
Why not? Right? It's kind of like maybe a little bit of a fishing expedition. And
it does sound like
Thomas Davis is the shrimping boat captain.
It does sound like there's a lot of interest because the reports coming out now are that Ryan Poles, Bears GM, was planning on holding out and waiting more for the belief that they might have been able to trade down to 2 or 3 and then trade down again to 9. But whenever DJ Moore got put in there, he just pulled the trigger and said, okay, like, yes, maybe this could turn into something even bigger, but
what a haul.
This is good enough. This is great. We'll take DJ Moore and run, cut our losses or whatever the thought process is. So I'm with you. I think like there was interest in trading down and down again from the Bears. So I have to imagine there's still interest in that first overall pick.
And I feel like there's a bit of psychology at play here. Whenever a trade like this happens and the immediate reaction is everyone's like, you overpaid. I feel like there might be a little bit of buyer's remorse playing into this where they're like, oh, we're ready to sell. We're gonna hold this and it's gonna be more valuable. I don't know if anyone's gonna bite on that.
Everybody's out. Just so you know, we didn't overpay. In fact, everybody's trying to give us more for it now, but we're not giving it to them. We're not giving it to them. And
like
also,
you're telling me everybody tells you just made a bad decision and you're not going to like try and double down on it or backtrack. Like those are the 2 options basically.
And they're playing all the cards too. They're playing like I'm crazy. I might do anything, like look out. Now, do you think there's an actual chance they do take Anthony Richardson?
Yeah.
Oof, that would be wild, man. I don't know. People would lose their marbles on that one.
There's time between now and the draft, and we've seen teams prioritize athletic measurables over other traits in the past. That wouldn't be a first.
Right. We've seen teams reach on hype in the past, right? Like the hype leading up to the draft. Anthony Richardson, there's not really a better case for that. Is a hyped up player.
Craig in the chat saying over a month to go, so much can change. 100%.
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to get taken first overall. I don't think he is the most likely choice there. But I also don't think that it's absurd for him to go there.
You're saying here that Anthony Richardson sucks and should never be the first overall pick?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's really rude.
I could also see a world where he's this year's Malik Willis and there's all this pre-draft hype and then he just sits, and then
Drops
he
to
just
the third.
slides. Maybe third's pretty far, but
The only
could happen.
reason I don't expect that is because he's being put in the same tier as multiple other quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Last year, it seemed like we just misidentified where the tier of quarterbacks slotted in, really.
But he was still the first quarterback, Malik Willis.
Kenny Pickett.
Oh, yeah.
Kenny Pickett after Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Second quarterback. I think we just misidentified where that tier was. Whereas this one, like, because Anthony Richardson is being compared to these players that I feel like are pretty well anchored at the top of the draft, I don't think we're going to see him in the third round. Maybe end of the first. Maybe like he falls and we see a playoff team take a shot on developing Anthony Richardson. But
yeah, the Steelers should not have taken Pickett. The Steelers should have gotten some like star player at a different position and just waited for this year.
Probably. Wait, you didn't think Pickett looked awesome when he threw 7 touchdown passes last year?
I think Pickett is going to be fine.
The seventh one that sold me.
It was the seventh one that really was like, yeah, that guy's a star.
Dude, did you see that time he almost threw a touchdown pass to Deontay Johnson?
Yeah, it was almost incredible.
Almost, dude. Deontay Johnson almost scored a touchdown last year. But I will say the last time we saw what you just described, JL, it was Lamar Jackson. So the Ravens.
What did I just describe?
You just described a super athletic but unproven passer slide to the end of the first round in the draft.
I think I described that.
Well, one of you guys did. I don't know. The Benadryl.
Sometimes in the morning, I have the memory of a goldfish, and I can't remember the thing we're
I'm gonna be honest, guys.
Talking about.
Mid that conversation, you guys started like there were analogies coming out. It's like, and I had forgotten completely what we were talking about. Based solely on an individual analogy from each of you, I was like,
what are we talking about?
I think Richardson.
I think the 5 Benadryl are catching up.
Yeah, where are we?
We were only supposed to take 5. Tommy in the chat said Colts get Lamar, Ravens get new Lamar. See, I think Anthony Richardson, the more apt comparisons are Josh Allen, right? Like or Cam Newton. It's more this like giant athletic quarterback instead of just a quarterback with
insanely athletic
ability, right? Like
Lamar's like 5'11", 6 foot, 6'2", 6'1".
Yeah, he's still thick though.
His
He
neck.
got
some legs.
His neck is like one of my legs.
Surely.
Yeah. Now, did you see what Austin Eckler had to say? So again, in the modern NFL, like news leaks, and then these guys actually have the ability to go on different shows or go in the Players Tribune and say what they want to say. So, Austin Eckler.
Tribune.
You like that word, don't you?
I like the way you say that word.
Tribune. The play is Tribune.
Sounds like a gun. Tribune.
It sounds like a slide. Tribune.
So he slid into some channel that I don't remember, but Austin Eckler basically said it's not that he hates the Chargers. He loves the Chargers. He just says, I recognize that for my contribution to this team, what I do for this offense, I'm underpaid right now. So that's all. He goes, he's like, I want a contract where I'm going to get paid. And if they don't want to pay me, then I just ask them to trade me to a team that will respect that. It's hard to blame him because think about it. He's catching he's basically putting up the receiving stats of Tyler Boyd, and also he's the starting running back of the team. Like, there are very few guys that contribute as much as what Austin Eckler does within this league, right? So why isn't he paid? Why are the wide receivers that get $30 million when this guy is touching the ball over 300 times for this team?
Yeah, he's the 14th highest paid running back in the league, and that's a little bit absurd. And that's even just comparing him against other underpaid running backs, right? Like, that's comparing him against the position where he's dominant. They're all underpaid, and he's 14th on that list. When in reality, you're right, we should be looking at this more in line with some of the wide receiver salaries. I understand teams not wanting to give running backs long-term deals. That doesn't mean Austin Eckler shouldn't be pushing for proper value on his contracts. It's probably more important to do so for him because of the unwillingness of teams to give long-term deals to running backs.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he's still running back. As many passes as he's catching, he's still playing the running back position, and it's going to be less valuable. So I get his frustration. I'm also looking at his contract, and like he's not really getting paid until later in his contract. His contract's very backloaded, and so this year he's getting $6.25 million base salary, which is the highest he's gotten in the last 4 years. I think he could probably get more from another organization, but I don't know that it's going to be a crazy amount more. He's 27-year-old running back,
and that's
not going to get paid like a wide receiver.
That stinks, dude. Where it's like you don't get paid retroactively. So we've seen it a million times. We saw it with DeMarco Murray with the Cowboys. He got like 400 touches, and he was like, "All right, pay me." And they were like, "Why would you pay you now? You're all beat up." He played through. He had hand surgery mid-season and didn't miss a game. And then afterwards, they were like, "Oh yeah, all right, thank you, bye."
And then I traded for him in every dynasty league I was ever in.
Naturally, well, you got to get those guys. Dude. You got to get those guys.
Get your guys.
Yeah. Simon goes down to the tire shop, and the people, they take their old tires off and get new ones. And Simon's like, "Are you gonna keep those?
Are you using that?
Are you
gonna finish that?"
I immediately just crawl inside of it
and roll down the sidewalk
and roll out the front door. I just hit the front door, and I'm like, "Could someone get that?"
Someone's like,
"Thanks."
The arms coming out, going down the street.
That's what it's like trading for DeMarco Murray in Dynasty.
You guys ever rolled down a hill in a anything, in a tire, in a tire, in a barrel, and
I rolled down myself.
Have, and you before you get up in there, you really underestimate how many rotations there are going to be.
Loops.
Oh my god!
Whoa!
When the radius goes from just your body spinning to now like 1 foot, it is shocking.
I just
like, where am I gonna hit?
I just got a little disoriented just now, just thinking about it.
I want to go do that immediately. That's why I said my initial urge is to just go out to the field and do that.
Next time we're together, JL, we'll find a large tire in a field
and we'll get in it together.
We're just to get a very large tire. As it gets to the end, it slows down. We're just fall on top of each other inside.
No.
Gravity.
Gravity.
Also, Keith in the chat saying, "I'm convinced Coop is a time traveler because he's always very impressed that players use social media."
Yeah.
He's like, man,
he's got this newfangled website where he can share his feelings with all his friends in real time.
It's not even in the paper.
Players couldn't talk unless they put out an ad in the newspaper.
Yeah, they had to go down to the old Players Tribune, which we called the Boston Globe. Speaking
Boston Tribune.
They had to talk to Smudge Peterson for 3 hours just to get a clip out. Speaking of the Players Tribune, Donta Hightower had an article in the Players Tribune announcing his retirement. He's been the heart and soul tackle leader for the Patriots defense, won 2 Super Bowls, but basically came out and said, "Hey, I have no qualms about the blood, sweat, and tears that I left on the field for this team. I'm hanging them up." What do you boys think? The timing of this is not ideal for the Patriots. And I'm not, honestly, with this one, I'm not 100% sure they saw it coming. When Devin McCourty retired, I actually was down because the stadium's like 10 minutes away. I was down there the same day, and there were billboards up saying, "Thank you, Devin McCourty." So that one, clearly they had that one. That one was scheduled. This one, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe they did know about it. But it leaves them without a middle linebacker, without a safety. Patriots defense could be in a little bit of trouble.
Shout out to Donta Hightower. Congratulations on an incredible career. Enjoy your retirement. Go pick up knitting or cross stitching or archery or something. You got all this time for a hobby now. That being said,
a real hobby, unlike
not a career, a hobby. He's made football his career. Watch slowly. We're gonna like turn on the next Olympics, and we're gonna see Hightower out there just lined up with a bow and arrow in his hand,
The
competing
little
at the highest
finger
level.
thing.
I
I don't know what you call that. The quill finger.
Clip.
The quill finger. I think that's
Quill
exactly
finger.
what it's
That
called.
is what it is. Yeah, that is what it
Quill
is.
finger. Yeah, I mean, he was supposed to be a unrestricted free agent after this past season, so makes sense. They would have had to renew him if he wasn't going to retire.
Yeah, he probably took a little quick peek at the market, and just said, you know what, not worth it to go through that grind again for that.
Yeah, at his age.
Listen to this list tweeted out by Emmanuel Acho highlighting the 2012 inside linebacker draft class, which includes Deonta Hightower. So we've got Deonta Hightower, Luke Kuechly, Bobby Wagner, Demario Davis, and Levante David, all in one draft class, same position. Pretty freaking stacked coming out in 2012.
Yeah. Coop, how old are you?
Older than 12, younger than 50.
Pretty big range.
Yes.
Texas ranges.
Somewhere in the middle. I'm going to be 34 this year. I honestly, I'm at the
You're
age.
33 currently?
Yeah, I'm at the age now where I forget, where I legitimately do forget.
Oh, yeah, that happens to me for sure.
Yeah,
I was asking because Hightower's 33.
yeah. Maybe it's time I hang them up. Well, boys,
maybe it's about that time.
time to pick up knitting.
Coop, I like to imagine whenever
Pardon
you
the
do
anime.
retire, that's exactly how you do it, and that is the last contact you ever have with
Never talk to
everybody.
you again.
Like Coop just gets off, and we all just go like, "Ah, good man," and then
Walk right through that
Never
door.
see him again.
Never speak to Coop again.
Walk through that door into Narnia. Smell you boys later. That'll be my last words on the show.
He turns around right before he walks out the door and closes it. He's hogs up, baby.
Yeah.
Closes the door.
His legs
Well,
turn into goat legs. Turns out Coop's been a satyr this whole time as he gallops out of the door.
I can't say hogs up, boys, because I already said my last words were going to be smell you boys later.
We got Jolly Rancher in the chat saying, "Don't do it!
Don't do it.
You know
He
what?
doesn't want you to retire."
I was waiting for someone to say that. I'll stay.
Coop's like begging us like
I'm
to
like,
make it not retire. John, they're like, good one.
like,
Retire
I'm sorry.
harder.
like looking at the chat, I'm
Retire
like,
faster.
somebody in the chat's going to step in and say something soon.
Surely someone wants
Coop
me around.
opens the door back up. Did you guys say something?
Yeah, Audie
What
Coop
was
already
that?
texted me, said congrats on your retirement. She's like, she's still
She
a fan
put
of
up
the
a
show.
billboard outside your house.
Yeah.
Thank
Did
you,
you-
Coop.
Did you see the picture I posted? She sent me a picture of her
Yes,
fancy socks for
Yeah. George
for,
your feet.
Down Syndrome Awareness Day. I was disappointed that Herms didn't show us his feet on the show yesterday afternoon.
You're like, I'm rather aggressive in asking.
So
Yeah, we did.
We got pretty aggressive and still nothing. Intimidation didn't work.
Yeah.
We got Tommy in the chat with a enticing offer. Coop, come hang out with him and watch the show if you're going to retire. There you
it
go.
is more fun in the chat. I was in the chat for your show yesterday, and I mean the chat's undefeated.
Chad is
Imagine the
undefeated.
shock on Tommy's face when it's 6 a.m. tomorrow. There's a knock on his door and it's Coop.
Hey.
Yeah, you ready to watch?
What's up, dude? What's up, dude?
Coop's
He's
in
just
his
with
Rugrats,
beer.
his
and
Rugrats
a-
pajama pants with a 6-pack of beer and a bag of pretzels
And a bushel of tomatoes
and a carton of milk.
and a bottle of Pappy. Okay, easy now, dude. I'm retired. I'm retired. I'm on a
Let's go.
budget. I'm retired. I'm on a budget, dude.
Tommy's just excited for a friend to come over.
That's right. Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you boys about kind of a bit of a conspiracy theory, even. Have you guys heard of Saint Omni?
No.
Okay, this is interesting. So there's apparently this figure who is not an agent, and he goes by the name Saint Omni, and he has been acting as an advisor to players in the NFL. And it was first reported last year, or whenever the Roquan Smith contract news dropped, because somebody was talking to the Bears on his behalf and like was actually like sending emails during practice times. That's how he figured it out. Wasn't actually Roquan Smith. And the guy, whoever it was like, "Oh, my name is Saint Omni, and I'm like a consultant," and like helped negotiate his contract. Since then, it's been kind of reported that this guy is like a shadowy type figure. He's not an agent, and players go to him for contract consultation, where they basically say like, "Hey, here's my, here's what I'm looking at," and then this guy actually talks to the teams and kind of advises them on whether it's a good deal or not. Now, another player, Laramie Tunsil's contract has reportedly been involving Saint Omni, and on top of that, there was another report saying that the league has said that the NFLPA has reported that a representative not certified by the NFLPA has contacted multiple teams on behalf of Lamar Jackson, and it's rumored that this person might be the notorious Saint Omni. Now, when you try and look him up, all these, I mean, Pat McAfee even speculated that Saint Omni isn't even like a real person, that it's just like an alias or something that
Bogeyman.
It's like a fake email account that these players, like the agents for these players, use to be like, "Oh, this is a third party," and just kind of like be the bad cop in these negotiations.
Can I get that Saint Omni email login? I gotta send a message to my team.
And Drew Rosenhaus is like, "Yeah, can I get the Saint Omni? I got to, yeah." But basically, just doing like good cop.
Use again? AOL.
Yeah,
AOL. Okay.
Just imagine they're like good cop, bad cop, where you're like, I think this contract's pretty fair, but we consulted with Saint Omni, and
you want me to ask Saint? I can run it by him if you want.
I'll run it by Saint, but he's gonna tell me that it's trash. So
he's not happy when I call him up and I waste his time.
That didn't come from me. That didn't come from me. Me and Lamar, we'd be happy with this one, but Saint Omni.
Saint Omni. It's got old Saint Omni written all over it.
Ooh, Easy Aves in the chat. The Dread Agent Omni. That's
the Dread Agent Omni.
Yeah, that's
the collector.
It is kind of cool. I love the idea of this like shadow figure that is just like somehow operating in the alleyways of NFL contract negotiations, just helping players like Laramie Tunsil and Roquan Smith get more money. How do you guys feel about that?
I think Simon's frozen or just doing a really terrifying still impression.
The Benadryl challenge got him.
Why is it so unsettling? Like the position he froze in is very unsettling.
Simon lost race against the clock today.
I
knew that would happen when he said we were only supposed to take 5.
Yeah, we knew that he was done for.
Yeah,
this is only a game between you and I now.
Right now, naturally, the only 2 left.
And we're I win.
Yeah, we're out.
And we're right.
Yeah. Naturally, Reddit immediately started sleuthing on this Saint Omni character. They believe that they may have found. Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Reddit. Nothing bad has ever come from Reddit detectives trying to get on the case and solve it themselves. They seem to have found somebody, but it could just be a fake account. But the funny part is that this account it only has 1,000 followers on Instagram. But one of them is Ian Rappaport, like the legit Ian Rappaport. Yeah.
Yo, how funny would it be if there was just like a couple of these like small accounts that nobody believed and Ian Rappaport just like knew the ones to follow? Just a couple 5,000 follower Instagram accounts. That's Ian Rappaport's sources is an Instagram story.
We really should just check who he's following. But maybe it's like maybe he saw that account and was like, wouldn't it be funny if I followed this and made everyone think this is a real guy?
That's probably more likely.
Yeah. I see Hal in the chat said, "What up? Good morning." What up, Hal?
What up, Hal? Welcome in, my friend. Glad to have you here.
Dude?
We got Easy Aves in here as well. Did you guys already say hi to them?
Yeah, the Dread Agent Omni. The Dread Agent Omni is amazing. I might make one of my team names that, my fantasy team names that. I'm stealing that, Aves. Thank you.
I can't hear Omni without thinking hotel though. So like Dread and Omni don't really go together in the same sentence for me.
Yeah, I guess not.
I think that's really far from their brand image.
Now that Instagram account with only 1,000 followers, I'm scrolling through here and the people following him, and there are a few legitimate NFL players that follow this guy. A lot of Jets players. But looks like he's friends with Laramie Tunsil, who just negotiated that contract. He's friends with Charles Cross. He's friends with Elijah Moore. George Fant, who is a offensive tackle. So I don't know. Maybe this is the legit St. Omni. If it is, he looks like a pretty cool dude. There's pictures about like a Porsche dealership and stuff. But I don't know. I love these mysterious. I love a good conspiracy theory. So I obviously, as is policy on the show, I choose to believe all the rumors until they've been proven false.
I'm with you. And I love the idea of a figure behind the scenes making things happen for the NFL players, like off the books, not certified by the NFLPA, but he's got their back. He's coming in to make sure it happens.
Now, let me ask you, Simon, if you had to be one, would you rather be an NFL player, an NFL agent, or St. Omni?
A St. Omni.
Yeah. Just a mover and a shaker behind the curtain.
Absolutely.
Beast.
Absolutely.
Stud.
Because then whenever a player calls St. Omni, I bet there's times where he looks at it and he puts it back in his pocket. But if St. Omni calls a player, I bet they all answer. Know what I mean? Or St. Omni calls a coach. Like a coach may call St. Omni and St. Omni's putting it back in his pocket. An owner may call St. Omni and he's putting it back in his pocket. But if he's calling any of these people back, if he's calling them, they're going to answer every time. Yeah, he's the one with the real authority there.
Yeah, which if I was St. Omni, I would take the biggest advantage of. I'd be at like the club, like talking to like a chick, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm St. Omni. Why don't you ask about me?" And they'd be like, "Who?" And then I would just like FaceTime Elijah Moore, be like, "What's up?" So
Elijah Moore in there.
Yeah, just like whatever, no big deal. Friends with Cam Newton.
Also, we got Dustin in here. What's up, Dustin? Said, I'm all about being behind the curtain. My goal in life is to be the biggest mover and shaker and let someone else be the powerless figurehead.
Yeah, well, I'm willing to be the powerless figurehead, and be out in front, get all the perks, walk the red carpet, do all that stuff. So maybe we can link up on that, Dustin.
It works out. And then, JL, you and I have to figure out who's going to be the powerless figurehead and the mover and shaker behind the scenes. But we can figure it out.
Yeah, I think we got that.
Do you have any preference?
Were you actually frozen that whole time, JL, or were you just making a face? If so, that was amazing. I thought you lost.
Could tell.
I didn't realize it for a long time. I thought you really just.
I thought you had lost.
I can't see you, Simon, so I can just assume that you're making a face.
Yeah, making a duck face. You were just sitting there stuck with like your lips pursed in a duck face for like 5 minutes. I thought you were legitimately just making that face.
I'm starting to think we might have to scrap Race Against the Clock as a segment.
We're too good at it.
Too good.
There's a report coming out of Cleveland yesterday from Mary Kay Cabot saying that the Browns have not closed the door on trading for Broncos 2020 first-round wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, despite the lack of a first-round pick that they have. That's what the Broncos have been demanding. But it does look like Cleveland's still in the market for a wide receiver. And the rumors coming out of Denver show that they're open to moving most of these guys for the right price. They've said they're looking at options for Courtland Sutton. They're open to trading Jerry Jeudy for a first. So maybe they're not thrilled with the receivers, even though we look at it and think they should be pretty happy.
Yeah, so I've got a bit of a running theory. I think I briefly mentioned it yesterday, but I look at what the Saints are doing with this team and how they're building the roster construction. And I honestly think that they're going to run primarily 2 wide receiver sets. So right now they have Courtland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, and KJ Hamler. They have Greg Dulcich as the pass catching tight end. They went out and they signed Chris Manhertz, who's one of the better blocking tight ends in the league. And they went out and signed Michael Burton, who's a fullback, played for the Chiefs last year. But in 2020, he played for Sean Payton on the Saints. And in that season, he was playing 25, 35% of the snaps regularly. So if you have, a running back, a fullback, 2 tight ends, that's a 1 wide receiver set. If you have, anytime you bring in just the 1 extra tight end or just the 1 fullback, that's a 2 wide receiver set. So I personally think they're looking at that and saying, we're allocating so much of our money, so much of our assets to this position, where we've got so much of our ass on this position that we need to take part of that and cash it out. So I think that part of it might be they want their own guys. It's a new regime. They might want their own guys in there. But I think part of it might be that they're looking at it and saying, why do we have all these guys if we're not going to do it? And we see it all the time on when defensive coaches come in. Like if you come in, and it's just so much easier to explain when a coach comes in that runs a 4-3 defense and the current defense is a 3-4, and you see guys get moved and traded immediately, and you're like, oh well, he's converting it from a 3-4 to a 4-3. But on offense, we don't say the same thing if they're converting it from a 11 personnel offense to a 12 personnel offense. But I think that's actually what's going on. So if Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy do get traded in my dynasty league, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, these guys aren't valuable anymore. I'm just going to say, oh, well, they're not needed for this format, this formation, personnel group. So that's my take on that. That's been fullback talk.
Fullback talk with
even with the fullback talk or the scheme situation here, I think that I think Denver needs to take a look at themselves here, and I don't think they've put Courtland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy in a position to succeed. And so I think both of these guys are incredibly talented, and they'll do fine at other teams if they do get traded. I think they'll also do fine here in Sean Payton's offense.
Right. Exactly. Like at worst case scenario, you just keep them. And unfortunately, maybe like one of them, at least one of them, because if you're going to use a fullback at all, at least one of those guys is going to play limited snaps. Who do you out of Tim Patrick, Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, who do you think it would end up being?
Tim Patrick.
Yeah, that's what I think so too. I imagine they'll have Sutton at split end, and in 2 wide receiver sets, Jeudy will be at flanker. And then when they go to 3 wide, you slide Jeudy into the slot and then bring Tim Patrick in. Which, I mean, Tim Patrick's a good player. I think maybe that's part of the motivation of the trade is that they look at it and say, hey, we got too many good players. Let's cash them out.
Honestly, Russell Wilson was terrible this year, and there was no Tim Patrick on the field, and everything correlated is directly causated. So Tim Patrick,
that's what we all know.
That's what we always say. That's
I do
go-to phrase.
I do think that Tim Patrick was probably going to play the Alan Lazard role in Nathaniel Hackett's offense. So maybe they were missing a key cog. Maybe Nathaniel Hackett just got railroaded without Alan Lazard.
Also a very clear possibility in this situation. Now, on the other side of this trade rumor, though, the Browns look like they're looking to make moves for a second wide receiver. Do you guys think this is a good landing spot for a fantasy wide receiver, for a wide receiver 2 type player?
What spot?
The Cleveland Browns. They're the team that were rumored to be looking at Jerry Jeudy. Because it's Amari Cooper, then Donovan Peoples-Jones, Anthony Schwartz, right? Like there isn't
Jarvis Landry.
The ghost of Jarvis Landry.
I mean, if Jarvis Landry landed there, maybe it could be in line for a resurgence. I don't think he's going back to Cleveland, though.
I think any receiver that's going to get that number 2 spot here in Cleveland is most likely going to get a swing in fantasy. And so Jerry Jeudy or Courtland Sutton landing there is going to be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if Jeudy landed there, he would be a full snap player. It would vaporize Donovan Peoples-Jones, but I'd definitely be interested in Jeudy for fantasy football playing with Deshaun Watson. No question.
Are you guys expecting the Browns to shift to a more pass heavy offense?
It depends. I want to see the rest of this offseason. There were rumors about Nick Chubb no longer being a part of his team, then moving his contract, trading him. If that happens,
the coach coming out saying how he's not necessarily run heavy.
Yeah. I think he was saying basically what we say whenever we're talking draft strategy, right? Like, I'm not run heavy, but if run heavy's working, right? Like I'm not going to not run the ball because we need to pass the ball more times a game. If running the ball is working, I'm going to do it. That's not to say I'm run heavy first. If they've got Nick Chubb on this roster, they're probably going to be a heavier run team than the average NFL team, just because Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb. You play to the talent of your players. If you got Derrick Henry, you run the ball more than average. If you got Nick Chubb, you run the ball more than average.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's still going to be dictated by game script to a certain degree, but I think now at least they're capable of throwing more, whereas for a long time they didn't really have a great quarterback, so their hands were kind of tied. So I think it's going to be more balanced just by the nature of spending $200 million on a quarterback.
Agreed. Also, Hal in the chat thinks you're drunk. Coop says Coop is drunk, yet Hal misspelled Coop while accusing you of being drunk.
Even me and Hal are both drunk. Why am I drunk, Hal?
That's happy.
I like how Coop's response wasn't "No, you're drunk." It's "No, we're both drunk."
No, we're drunk.
First of all, how dare you?
Is that a chip in your mug, Coop, or is that part of the design?
Is that a snake in your boot?
There used to be a Patriots thing on there, but it fell off.
But it fell off after Deflategate.
Is it? So my question is: it still a Patriots mug?
Every time the Patriots cheat, the little Elvis head falls off another piece of memorabilia. You in?
Yeah, there's a lot of Patriots heads lying on the ground, and a lot of Super Bowl championships as well.
Right next to them.
Let's go, baby. The dark arts.
Dark arts.
Well, guys.
Well, we didn't talk about the Herms would be very disappointed if we didn't mention the big news.
I've been wanting to bring that up since like 20 minutes ago.
Hit us with it, Jay.
Kept forgetting. No, go ahead.
The big splash, the crazy news of yesterday. Ronald Jones is back. He signs a 1-year, $1.5 million deal to be the lead running back of the Dallas Cowboys. The megastar
Billies.
bell cow starting back for the Cowboys. What do you boys think? Ronald Jones, what round? First round? If he makes his way out of the first round, do you take him in the second?
I'm taking Ron Lascow Jones in the first round.
First round. Let's go.
Clip that. Yeah, first round. First overall?
It's a little too rich for me. I think I'd take him in the second round.
Okay. When you say you can't say advice like that because then people might actually think that you're being serious. Yes, no. Ronald Jones probably
to Tony Pollard down. But what if? Just bear with me, guys. Just hear me out on this one. What if we get Ronald Jones just playing that Zeke role this year? Like he slots in right where Zeke was, and we get this nice old clean committee here in Dallas.
Just touchdowns every week like Zeke had?
Exactly.
I'm not convinced he's the second best running back on that team. I don't it was said jokingly on our show yesterday, but then I was thinking about it. Is Ronald Jones better than Malik Davis? Is Ronald Jones a better running back than Malik Davis? I think I'm not convinced. I think it's a question, and that's enough for me to have zero excitement for Ronald Jones in fantasy. Like, I'm not drafting him.
Yeah, we have to think about the context at times with some of these. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and you had Antonio Brown and Mike Wallace and Emmanuel Sanders and all these guys, and Emmanuel Sanders leaves to go somewhere else, then I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm still interested in Emmanuel Sanders. But if you're the Chiefs and you're struggling at running back and you have trouble finding your guy and Ronald Jones doesn't work there either, then I look at it and I'm like, how good can this guy be if he can't catch on with the team that didn't pick up the 5th-year option for their own running? You know what I mean? Like, context is important in these. So if he couldn't catch on with Kansas City, I just don't see how good he's going to be with Dallas either.
Yeah, it's also not super like this isn't so simple that we can know for sure that like Ronald Jones is going to be the control in this experiment.
Yeah.
And that putting him not succeeding in Kansas City is directly a result of his issues. Him going to Dallas is actually not too bad of a landing spot in my mind for him specifically, because this is a team that wants to run it. They are hell-bent on running the ball. They just got rid of their offensive coordinator because of that.
Right. And he's and he's going to compete with we have to also remember that Tony Pollard, his season ended because he broke his leg. Like, it's not like he's healthy right now. He's not playing football at this moment. He's recovering from a broken leg. So they do need help, and they're going to have a running back who's recovering from a pretty serious injury. So
You've seen flashes from Ronald Jones too. Like he has shown flashes of talent. He just hasn't done it consistently. And we haven't seen consistent usage from him too, which makes me wonder. I mean, sometimes with usage, right, it can be because the player isn't performing, and so the coaches don't want to use them. And sometimes it's because of the coaches, right? The coaches' decision-making that isn't directly related to the player.
So, like, if so facto, Ronald Jones, megastar.
At least upside, some upside.
Yeah. I mean, it's just funny. Like the new game I like to play with running backs this offseason is, did they get more money than Rashad Penny? And the answer apparently 99%
More than a
of the
penny or
time,
less than a penny.
yeah,
New segment.
more than a penny, less than a penny. The answer for virtually every running back has been yes, which makes all the Rashad Penny hype the moment he signed that much more funny.
Right.
Yeah.
I just realized Simon's been gone. I couldn't see him before.
Who's Simon?
And so I thought that he was here just being quiet. And then I looked up, he's not here.
People were like, "Oh, Rashad Penny, he's just as good as Miles Sanders." Well, if he's just as good as Miles Sanders, why did Rashad Penny get $1 million and Miles Sanders get $25 million?
Math. Welcome, Simon.
Yeah, it's hard.
The answer is probably Rashad Penny isn't as good as Miles Sanders, or it doesn't offer as much security as Miles Sanders for an NFL team.
Thank you.
It's not proven he's as good, at least.
Oh, yes. I mean, you gotta. There's caveats. There's caveat there. I'll tell you this.
Cavities and caviar.
And
Caviar.
Yes.
And caviar.
God.
Now, would you rather have Rashad Penny on his deal or Miles Sanders on his? Can you ever tell if JL's listening to music or if he's just agreeing?
I'm listening to music. Yonkers by Tyler, the Creator came on. I haven't heard the song since high school.
Why don't you sing some of the lyrics
So
for
good.
us?
No.
Sing the part. Sing the part about B.O.B.
I will turn down that kind invitation.
Yes. Okay. Fair. What do you guys think about maybe doing today's little?
No. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I would love to.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I thought you said something else.
You guys not receptive to my invitations today.
No.
JL won't sing a very offensive song out loud on the show.
Offensive song. It's not an offensive song. It's just brutal.
Pretty offensive.
Is it?
Well, why don't you keep listening and we'll start doing the Weddle.
Well, who's picking the player?
I've listened
today?
since high school.
I will pick the have JL pick the player.
Let's go with DeAndre Hopkins.
Ooh,
Hopkins, baby.
Spicy meat
Okay.
the ball.
We know they're in the NFC. Everything else is not yellow or green, so not a wide receiver. Shorter than 6'1" by quite a bit, so 5'10" or shorter. They're 27 or younger, and their number is 7 or lower. So it's most likely a running back, but could be a short quarterback.
Well, the thing is, we know he's not in the Cardinals, so we know it's not Kyler Murray.
Not Kyler Murray.
It kind of leaves the quarterbacks under 5'11". There's not a whole lot of those going around. So let's assume running back here, and NFC running back.
Not in the West.
Not in the West, and it's not Cordarrelle Patterson, but pretty much everybody else is on the table age-wise.
27 or younger.
Yeah.
Rashad White?
Under number 10 too, which is a nice little hint for everybody except Simon. How about you're getting better at numbers, Simon? I can tell. I think this game is helping with that.
I'm learning some.
Yeah. How about Dalvin Cook?
Dalvin Cook. JL, how you feeling about Dalvin Cook?
We can go Dalvin Cook.
Number 4 now. He changed his number to 4. I know that.
Show me Dalvin. It's Dalvin, baby.
Let's go, dude.
Ew.
Yo, we've been nice with this lately.
Too good.
Yeah, JL, you need to shorten that segment on the show sheet because we only need 3 minutes, baby.
Yeah.
And
So-
Dustin,
This segment doesn't need to start till 6:57.
Dalvin Cook. Well, I mean, while we're on the topic of Dalvin Cook, there continue to be rumors about Dalvin and him potentially moving. There seemingly is every single year, but it never actually comes to fruition. Like the rumor is always Dalvin Cook could be traded, and then I never hear anything else. Like, do you guys think he's at this point he's even a trade candidate anymore, or do you think he's just going to play for the Vikings?
Well, one, do we know if the word fruition and the word fruit have the same root word if we break them down? Because that's pretty cool. Like it's bountiful, like fruit come to fruition, something coming to happen. That being said, we were talking about Dalvin Cook. So the running backs are pretty movable in the NFL. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we saw almost any running back without a insane contract get moved. Dalvin Cook's on that list.
Honestly, that was good. That was good Latin work by you, Simon, because the original literary definition is the state or action of producing fruit.
Ooh, fruition.
I like it. It's a nice word. The Fruition Tribune.
The Fruition Tribune. Camila Bears.
But yeah, I don't think anybody's getting any of that sweet Dalvin Cook fruit this year.
No. Now, what about the world where the Vikings are the trade partner for Lamar Jackson? We've seen those rumors come out as well. It's probably in their best interest to keep Dalvin Cook in that case. Keep your best offensive weapon if you're going out there and you're trading for Lamar. That probably means the Vikings are going for it, saying we can win the division now. We can make a run now.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do.
That's how that goes. I just don't see why the people keep saying, "Oh yeah, just put him on this team because their quarterback, we don't like him." But which is kind of how it works on Twitter, right? But like Kirk Cousins do a lot of money too. Like if they don't want to pay Lamar Jackson, why are they going to pay Kirk Cousins? The Ravens, that is.
No.
from our Ravens insider, that's
Jill. Any other thoughts on Kirk Cousins to the Ravens?
No.
That's it.
That's it.
Simple response. No, John Luke.
Oh.
I knew I could count on you for some more detailed analysis. If you guys want more detailed analysis like that, boy, are you in the right place. Coming up, we're going to play some Fantasy Feud. We have a draft and then a new segment we're calling Show and Tell. We're also going to talk some trade values with our friend Alex, a.k.a. Peaked in High School, a.k.a. Trade Daddy. You're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Talk about your picks and your fantasy teams on Bettor Sports Network.
The importance of checking out the site that you're playing on. Default rankings of these sites. A lot of times they don't get updated. I know from experience. I used to write default rankings for the NFBKC, the basketball version of the NFBC. I'd write these default rankings in June for the NBA, before the NBA draft, before free agency opened up. And guess what? I was never asked to write an update article or update the default rankings. This happens a lot. Maybe if there's something obvious, it gets updated. Aaron Judge, for some reason, hurts his back. Maybe they make that change. Just maybe. But you don't know that. And that's why it's just so important that you show up to your draft room or you do that pre-draft prep. We're all busy. We know we're about to devote a lot of time to our fantasy baseball drafts. Why not spend the extra 20 to 25 minutes to invest properly in your team, to go and see which of those players are way down default rankings? They're going to be different on all of these sites, and you're going to be looking at them and going, maybe their analysts think a certain player who shouldn't be in the top 100, who should be maybe even not even the top 200, will be in that top 100. You got to check that out. You got to know where you're playing, just like you got to know your format when you sign up for the league. It's just so crucial, and people just skip right over it. You think it's cool to show up to the draft room 3 minutes before the draft. Well, number one, it's not cool because the commissioner's trying to make sure it is organized, especially me, who runs auctions. You can't, it's one thing if someone doesn't show up for the snake draft. Oh, well, doesn't ruin it for everyone. Auctions, you can't have someone not show up. Auto bidding, auto auctioning, it ruins the sanctity of those drafts here, which is why I always recommend, hey, make it easy on your commissioner. Don't make them send those texts there. It's annoying. You shouldn't have to do that. Don't wait till the last minute and get in there about 20, 25 minutes before so you can just look up and down the entire default rankings list so you can make a queue out of that, Ron. And the reason I keep saying this is because people still show up 2-3 minutes before the draft, and that's it. In fact, in one of my auctions, people were asking me where certain players were, and I go, did you search their name? No, I just got in. Well, that's no excuse right there. That's your own fault. I mean, you're organized, so you're a hard person to ask here.
You're getting those questions. This is your preschool league, right? People don't know how to search player names.
People freak out. They don't think. That's the problem. Because they show up 2 minutes before the draft. That's why.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. Coop and I are here. Just Coop in the halls. A little bit of Coop in the halls.
Dude, Simon taking a little napsy doodle after losing our new segment that we did this morning. The what was it called again? The race for
the race against time, race against clock, race the clock.
Race the clock, the challenge where we each eat a handful of Benadryl and see who can stay awake the longest. Simon lost. The JL and I are immune, so we will continue to grind on through the waking night terrors of taking too much Benadryl. And what do you want to do next?
Hey, if Simon wakes up, maybe he'll rejoin us.
Yeah, that would be
We'll see.
great.
We can't count on him. We cannot count on him.
No, we can't. But we can count on you guys hanging out with us in the chat. We see you guys there. Tim Wright, Dustin, Hal, Tommy, Aves, the boys. Let's go. And the girls. We saw Simon's mom was in here earlier. I'm not sure if she left to go check on him, but we got the gang here today, and we're here to talk some ball, play some games. What do you want to do, man? We can do anything we want since Simon usually is in charge of everything. He's not here.
That's true. Well, we're going to get into some fantasy feud once Simon gets back. In the meantime, we have to pick what we're going to do for the draft, Coop, because the topic still is up in the air. So I think we should talk through this for a minute.
Yeah.
Simon's leaning towards adult animation draft. So like adult animation, I guess TV shows would be the distinction.
Okay. Yeah. Because we've done a TV show draft in the past, but it was like kid shows. So we did like Hey Arnold and all that.
Right.
We haven't done like, yeah. Are there enough? House's best raw fish recipe.
That's an idea.
So much to choose from that I love in that category.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to narrow it down, really.
Yeah.
We could do historical figures or influential historical figures, classic board games, animated films. All these we got loaded up as a list.
Yeah, mascot.
Best chat member. Does this as best chat member?
That could get a little
That's
spicy.
That's actually a really funny idea. This round, I think I can wait. I think my guy's gonna fall to me, and he did. Mr. Scampers, let's go.
Mr. Scamp, dude. Toronto Dave, shout out the Toronto area. That would be funny, but would also be pretty ridiculous. How about top 10 things that you love about Kirk Cousins?
I hate that. And Tim said, that was Tim's suggestion. I thought that was your suggestion.
That was Tim's. Nobody boils a steak quite like Kirk Cousins. I'll say that.
Tim said, I would feel alive if JL had to have Kirk as his QB. Why, Tim? Why would you do that to me? I would never wish that upon my friend.
Hal says, please do the chat draft. I know I'll be left out, but it's still funny. Hal, you'd be a first round pick, man.
Yeah,
like
man.
You're not only in here all the time, but you called
the Ronald Jones of FYF.
You called in the show yesterday and showed your feet, Hal. You're a first round pick. You're a first round pick. 100%.
You earned that spot, buddy.
You put in the work, dude. Yeah.
You put in the work with your feet.
Your name's Work and Grind for a reason, brother. Yeah, you're in there, dude. You're up there. So yeah, but no chat draft. I don't know. These ones are kind of.
I think adult animation, is probably going to win out then.
It's probably got to be the one today. We'll see. Animals would be cool.
Animals. Yeah, that one's on the list too. Just I kind of like how broad that is. Just animals.
Just animals. So car models is a great one. The problem that I run into with cars all the time is that it's one of those topics. Every once in a while, I come across a topic that proves to me that I don't know everything. Like sometimes we kind of think like, oh, I'm a 30-something-year-old man. I must know everything that needs to be known. But then people start seriously talking about cars, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know anything about this. right? Like
Yep.
I think I know about it until people start talking about it, and then I realize I just know a couple cars that I saw in like Gone in 60 Seconds. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't actually know how they work.
Right. My nephew is super into cars. And we were and every time I talk, like we get together, he just sits there and starts telling me about all these different car stuff. I'm like, I'm so dumb.
Cool. Yeah. Exactly.
Like I know I spend all my day learning,
Right.
just learning different stuff. And then, but cars is not part of that circle. And so I just have no idea what he's talking about. I'm like, oh yeah,
Ooh.
no, cool. What does that mean?
Abe said we should do car models named after animals.
Car models is in the list.
Yeah. Let's
Names
do,
after animals. I like that. I like
yeah.
that qualifier.
I'm going first round pick. What you got?
Dodge Viper.
Oh, good pick. I'm gonna take a Barracuda.
RAV4. Oh wait, no.
RAV4s were forever ruined for me by Kanye West with
Corolla.
that rap line when he said, "What you think I rap for, to push a fucking RAV4?" And I
Well,
was like, "Oh, RAV4s are dead."
RAV4s are an elite, reliable vehicle when
Yeah.
it comes to like just multi-purpose reliability. What else do you need?
It's the cool carpool car.
Kanye was out of pocket with that one, which probably the only controversial thing he said in a while.
Yeah, he's his takes on RAV4 is why everyone's so pissed off.
Kanye usually pretty level-headed, but that RAV4 take was out of line.
My dog took a massive shit on the floor. Sorry, I was late coming back. Just huge, like bigger than your head.
Did you show us?
I sent a picture to you guys. In if you check your phone,
Keith, get that picture loaded up.
Keith, throw up the picture of my dog's massive turd from the kitchen.
Probably not going to.
Michael in the chat said Toronto Dave is the GOAT league mate. Just thought people should know. I respect you spread the good word.
TD's the man, dude. Truly. He truly is, dude.
Shout out Dave from the Toronto area.
Shout out Dave, dude. Yeah. All right. So I don't think we've come any closer to figuring out what the category for today's draft is going to be.
We already did adult animation.
Okay.
TV shows. Simon won.
Oh yeah, I like that one. That's good.
I wasn't even here.
I know, but it was hard, and it had a stiff competition. We had best chat member suggestion in the chat. Top 10 things you love about Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, a lot of good suggestions. Best chat member.
Car models named after animals. Just banger after banger in the chat.
Tim's idea is a really fun one that we should do with Tim. The coolest things. Like you just try to make a team where like the only prompt that we would put out there is which team's the coolest, and you put it could be people, it could be stuff, it could be activities.
Cool draft.
Cool draft.
Cool
draft the coolest
draft,
team.
dude.
Make the coolest team, huh? But you can't.
I like it.
Wow, I'm getting Uggs.
The 101.
101 Uggs.
Uggs. 102. Airbrush t-shirts.
Airbrush t-shirts with a caricature on it.
Yeah, sorry, JL. We took the clear 101 and 102. So
fanny pack.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Every time just take finger traps.
Oh, that's my
favorite. Out of pocket, JL.
I got sniped, dude. Every once in a while, I accidentally actually do get trapped in this thing. It's a pretty nice one.
I feel like every single time I've had one of those, I acquired it at a Dave & Buster's, and I broke it before I got home from Dave & Buster's.
This one,
like the number of finger traps I've sacrificed to the back seat of my mom's minivan is probably in the tens, probably 15 to 25 of those guys.
This one I got at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio, at Dave & Buster's there, and it survived a plane trip back. So it's basically indestructible.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And Justin with one more draft idea for us. A draft of best draft ideas.
Ooh.
I like that idea.
We could that's just what we do once a year to give us 12 more ideas.
Chat members, number one.
People start noticing the pattern that every 13 drafts we happen to do, or every 15 drafts we happen to do a best draft ideas draft, but you can't draft anything we did last time.
Hal says cell phone belt clips first overall.
I thought that was the draft. Cell phone belt clip draft.
Best cell phone belt clips.
That's a cool thing. That's about as cool as it gets right there.
It's pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet. And then Al said best inclement weather patterns. Also another good one.
Ooh, that actually would be kind of fun.
Ride on mowers.
Tornado got to be one, right? Tornadoes are coolest.
Right on tornado.
Dude, if we picked coolest things draft and I just picked for wild card, you picked tornado. You're going through my list. It's like Rolex, tornado,
Sports in general.
Oh my god, ninja. Like, dude, that team definitely won. That might have to be the draft, dude.
Pirates.
Dude, you can't pick Pirates after I take.
You could have like Balenciaga and Pirates on the same team. Well, guys, we're not doing that. Instead, we're playing a game we call Fantasy Feud. If you've never played with us before, this is a lot like the popular TV show Family Feud, but with a fantasy football twist. John Luke is going to be presenting a prompt to Coop and I, something like the top 7 all-time passing yards leaders. Coop and I, if we think we know the top answer, the number 1 on the list, we will buzz in by saying our own name. We'll get to take that shot. If we're right, we can choose to pass or play. You got 3 strikes to get the rest of the things on that list, earn all those points. But if you miss even one, whenever you get that 3rd strike, your opponent has the opportunity to steal by naming anything remaining on the list. If you choose to pass, it's the same rules, but your opponent is the one going first. The only other rule you got to keep in mind is on that initial buzz-in, if you don't name the number 1 answer, your opponent can try to name one higher than you to have the option themselves. We'll go like this till we run out of time or run out of prompts, at which point I will probably be named the winner.
Probably.
I say that's a lot of confidence coming from someone who's like 1-27 over the last 28 games.
No, you won. What was it?
One. Yes.
No, but you won. Yeah, you won yesterday. One of the games. I always keep track.
A different game.
I also had like a big lead in one of them and just threw it in the garbage.
It can happen.
As you do.
Let's get in there.
All right, our first prompt today. Remember, say your name when you are ready to guess. Top 7 fruits people use in smoothies.
Coop.
Simon.
I heard Coop first.
Damn it.
Banana.
Yeah, that's a good answer, you ding-a-ling.
Banana is number 2 on this list.
Ooh.
Are you gonna salute it? Are you
slither on it here? And I'm gonna say strawberry.
Strawberry is number 1 on this list. Let's go.
Strawberry.
It was the classic shake and bake right there because I was 100% gonna say banana.
And then you pulled the old strawberry swoop.
The strawberry
swoop.
Okay.
Well, top 7, number 1 and 2 has been named. Simon, would you like to pass or play?
Those are really the big smoothie fruits, so it might be deceptively tricky here, but I'm gonna play.
All right.
I'm gonna play. I got the chat closed, so I can't see any of the fruits they're naming. I hope this.
You can't see any of the fruits in the chat.
None of the ones that they're naming down there. I hope that this round comes to fruition for me, and I get all of these points.
Motif.
I like that.
I'm gonna say not blueberry.
Blueberry.
Give me blueberry.
Is number 3 on this list.
Show me your blueberries.
Number 4. I'm gonna go in order. Number 4 is mango.
Mango is number 4.
Wow.
Nailed it.
He's calling a shot.
I'm done calling my shots now. I don't know if we're going in order any longer than that. Let's go with kiwi.
Kiwi. Not on this list.
Damn. Well, people, you're missing out. Get some more kiwi in your smoothies.
You should go back to going in order. That was working.
Yeah, that was working better. Okay, I'm trying to picture a smoothie that I get from McDonald's. Ooh, it's got banana in it. Oh, some strawberry. Yum.
Get smoothies from McDonald's.
Yeah, they're actually pretty good. Other fruit.
Oh yeah, I used to get that pineapple one, mango pineapple one.
The mango pineapple. That is the delicious smoothie from McDonald's. It's so good, and the color's so appetizing. Let's go with raspberry.
Raspberry is number 6.
Okay, so we're missing 5 and 7.
5 and 7. Yep, 5 and 7 is all you need, Simon.
Coconut.
Coconut. Bonk. Not on this
Ooh,
list.
That was on
I-
my.
Two strikes.
That was on my
Simon.
list. I had written down here.
I was feeling like that was maybe my sleeper candidate right there.
I like that one. Now
Friendly
now-
reminder, play along in the chat. I see some great guesses in there. These contestants cannot see the chat, so they won't see what you're guessing in there. We'll shout you out if you get it right.
Okay. I'm going to go with lemon.
Lemon. Show me lemon.
Show me.
Bonk.
Lemon.
Oh.
No lemon. Goop.
You know
You
what's
can steal this.
you know what's interesting is that JL said the name of this fruit out loud, and you said, "Yeah, that's a good one," but then you didn't guess the fruit. JL said pineapple mango smoothie, and you were like, "Yeah, that's good." How about pineapple?
That's a good answer.
Pineapple is number 5 on this list. Well done.
Simon, he literally
Yeah,
goes.
you know,
"The host
I'm
of-"
not even mad. I'm not even mad at JL because it was such an egregious misstep that you would have been mad at JL Coop had I said pineapple.
I was sitting here and I was like, you guys literally just had a conversation. You're like, best smoothie fruits, and JL goes pineapple, and you go, yeah, that's a good one. And then you didn't guess it.
How about coconut?
How about coconut?
I was
like,
honestly, I was just thinking about that smoothie. I'm
Yeah,
so
oh,
thirsty
oh,
right
I-
now.
I was right
wouldn't
there
have-
with you. I was transported. I was standing in line at the Mick Chevron on Lost Mountain Road, just sipping on my orange pineapple smoothie before rolling out my minivan.
That's why I would not have been mad at JL, because JL was not the host of this game show while he was
No.
saying that. You were at McDonald's.
I was sitting in my truck. Well, all the cup holders filled with mango pineapple
Yeah, do they still
smoothies,
have
and
that?
nobody else in the car. Just
Exactly.
me.
That's why I couldn't blame you, dude. You had been
I was
teleported.
swimming in that smoothie.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. Didn't
Oh, you're good, dude.
completely
You're good.
forgot
Hey.
we were playing a game.
Oh, they still have it. We are getting a mango pineapple smoothie for lunch, baby.
I don't eat
I mean,
McDonald's anymore, unfortunately.
Even the
but I will.
pineapple smoothies, though, I feel like that's kind of a loophole,
Good.
man. I feel like you can get away with
It is
like,
a loophole, but I don't eat. I can't eat anything there, so
put-
I rarely go for just a smoothie.
They put calcium in their milkshakes and their smoothies, so you can't. If you're vegetarian,
Calcium?
You can't eat it. Yeah, calcium is what I said.
I heard that, and then I thought he couldn't have said calcium. I don't know, like,
Yeah, no.
what could he have said? I don't know. Calcium?
Wow, I'm looking at it now. This does look good.
It's pretty freaking good. Good color, right? I wasn't lying.
Yeah.
The color.
The color's everything.
It's everything. It's like bright enough to make you want to eat it, but not so bright that you don't want to eat it.
And I'm sure everything's artificial, including the coloring, but
Oh,
still,
for sure.
it looks
Dude,
great.
the grossest thing I learned. I had a friend freshman year whose mom worked in the factory that made the scent
A knob factory?
for McDonald's fish. The McDonald's fish scent was produced at the
Vomit.
factory that she managed. Their fish doesn't
Vomit.
even smell like fish. They buy the scent artificially from a third party and put it into their fish to make it smell like the McFish. Can
Nice.
you imagine the scent of that place, of your workplace? Like what you produce is literally the smell of McDonald's fish.
Hard-
That's
I
all
would
it
feel
smells
bad,
like.
but she chose that.
Ugh.
Like, you don't have to have that job. You applied to it.
right.
You chose it.
Artificial.
That's on you.
That's
Disgusting.
disgusting. Imitation
All right.
crab. She puts the artificial fish smell into imitation crab.
Mm.
I've never eaten imitation crab in my life. I'm pretty sure I would just immediately get smacked across the face.
Yeah,
if I
it's,
ever tried to.
it's illegal in Baltimore, right?
Yeah. Imitation crab.
How dare you?
How dare you? And we had some guesses in the chat. Guava from Dustin. Orange as well.
Orange. What was the last
It's-
fruit? Was it orange?
Oh, I didn't mention it, did I? It was
Papaya.
it was peach.
Ah.
Oh, I never would have
underrated.
said that. Yeah.
I almost gave that clue away because I had this weird urge in the middle of the game to just say, Simon, you should know the last one. Huh?
just a weird
Oh,
urge.
because I'm a little Georgia peach.
Because you're a little Georgia peach.
You just had a weird urge to ruin the game the whole time.
To just completely cheat. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know
You
where
only-
that came from.
And then you only kind of ruined it at least.
Yeah, and then I started thinking about smoothies.
We
My
were
mom
starting-
in here said, "Coop, you're grin when that happened." I guess you were smiling ear to ear.
Yeah, I right when you didn't get that one, I was like, yeah, I was looking at you like, okay. I immediately wrote pineapple on my sheet here.
Nice.
It's like Joey yesterday, unable to solve Najee Harisky business on the fantasy
that
football
was
team
so
show.
funny, dude.
If you guys missed it, go back and watch yesterday's episode of the fantasy football game show. We had Herms on. It was myself, JL, Joey, and then Herms was our guest. We played some Fortune, and it was there were a couple moments that are going down in FYF lore.
JL, I think this is your moment to officially throw your hat in the ring for the next elections for FYF film guy. I know you've been kind of jockeying for that position, and I think
I absolutely do not want that position.
Joey
I
left
have to buy all those books.
Joey
I don't
left
wanna buy books.
Joey left the door wide open.
Najee Harisky business.
Oh my god, amazing!
All right, let's get into our next round here. Fantasy Feud. Coop, you are up 6-0.
Stupid.
Our next prompt. Say your name when you think you know it. When you ever guess. Top 7 famous football coaches. Simon.
Oh, I said it faster. Check the tape.
Top 7 famous football coaches by what measure? Okay.
It's Fantasy Feud or Family Feud style. So it's from surveys.
The most famous. Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick is number 1 on this list. Simon, would you like to pass or play?
I'll play. I'm curious. This could go a couple different directions. Like this could skew very young, or this could skew old. Like this could skew like legendary, in which case it might have been a mistake for me to play. As we know, I'm not the NFL historian that I aspire to be. With famous coaches, I'm going to go with Andy Reid.
Andy Reid is number 7 on this list.
Ooh, and I'm looking for top 7.
Top 7.
So more famous than Andy Reid. Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin, bonk, not on this list.
Shoot. Okay, so maybe we're looking a little more legendary. Pete Carroll.
Hold on. Not working.
No.
Work better.
And this is NFL coaches or all football coaches?
NFL coaches.
Oh, thank God.
Simon, what was your answer?
Oh, Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll.
PC.
Or, I'm sorry. Oh, Pete Carroll is bonk. Incorrect. That's 2 strikes, Simon.
Bill
Damn,
Gum
okay, so
Chewer.
far, I got Bill Belichick and Andy Reid.
Reid.
Let's go with Parcells.
Parcells. Bonk is
Damn.
incorrect. Not on this list. Coop, you can steal this.
Okay, so I just got to pick the just one
You
most
just need
famous
one.
coach.
You just
Okay.
need one.
I'll go with Vince Lombardi.
Oh, you.
Vince Lombardi is number 2 on this list.
Yeah,
Coop, and you were going to steal
that
this.
really checks out.
Let me throw
He's
some others
great
at you
boy.
to see if they're on the list.
Yeah, let me humiliate Simon further.
Well,
Just
that
kidding.
is Bill Walsh.
That's just a nice benefit.
It's another good one.
Bill Walsh on the list.
Bill Walsh is number 6 on this list.
Is Don Shula on the list?
Shula's number 3.
Is Jimmy Johnson on the list?
No.
Okay, that's it. I'm done.
Pretty good, Coop. Pretty good.
Number 4 was Tom Landry.
Oh yeah, classic.
Number 5 was Chuck Noll.
Oh, I would not have got Chuck Noll, but he is a legendary coach. I just wouldn't have said him. That's
I
interesting.
feel like it was really unfortunate for me that Andy Reid was 7 because it led me down the path of thinking maybe we've got more modern NFL coaches on this list, and I wasted some guesses.
It tricked you a little bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Chuck
Got
Noll,
me.
huh? Hmm.
Yeah. Easy as in the chat said Lombardi, Landry, Madden. How is Madden not on this
Oh
list?
yeah, what the hell? Yeah, I
That
think
is
crazy.
I think enough people probably now associate him more with the video game and as an announcer because he kind
As
of
an announcer, yeah.
he kind of
That's a
convoluted
good
his
point.
own history with just being an absolute legend, right? Like he's too much to be known.
When
as
I
just-
picture him-
just a
That's a really
coach.
good point.
I picture him with the announcer's headset on and
Yeah.
a suit
on the cover of Madden.
on the cover of
Right,
Madden.
you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Really good
he's
point,
like
yeah.
he's too much now. You know what I mean?
He's beyond coach. Yeah, when you say coach, you don't think.
Right. It's like calling Mark Wahlberg a rapper.
Marky Mark. Dustin said Belichick, Gruden, Shula, and Reed.
Gruden was a good
Gruden.
answer as far as just like fame.
Yeah.
Sure.
Very
True.
cool.
All right. Coop, that's going to bring you up to 9.
So I'm losing.
9-0. Yeah, you're losing. Sorry about
Ah.
that. Our next prompt. Top 7 most popular websites in America.
Coop. Google.
Google is number 1 on this list.
Nice.
Would you like to pass and
Nice.
play?
I think I will. I think I'll play. Because
Okay.
Simon did the first 2.
Top 7.
So 1 Google. I'm gonna go with Amazon.
Amazon is number 4 on this list. I thought it was on this list, and I was gonna scream. It's like there's no way. This can't be.
You love Amazon. So do I.
I don't,
actually.
but I'm just. It's.
No, you do.
There's not many alternatives.
You're a big
I
fan.
love the convenience.
You're a huge fan.
I resent the organization, but man, am I going to use it every single day.
Let me get the Facebook or perhaps Meta, whatever it's labeled as on there.
Facebook is number 3 on this list.
Show me the
So you have
Facebook.
1, 3, and 4.
Okay. What other popular websites are there? Is Reddit that popular?
Reddit, bonk, is incorrect. Not on this list. It's 1 strike.
Losers. How about is Yahoo still on this list?
Yahoo is number 5 on this list.
Weirdos. All right. Google, Facebook, Amazon, Yahoo. What is in that? What's 2?
What web browser still has Yahoo as the default? Because that is the only reason that could still be on the list.
I get all my news.
Hey.
I get all my news.
Andy Behrens is responsible for Yahoo's success.
You're right. On the fantasy football side, I guess I was thinking just specifically like Google competitor from the search engine portion.
I get all my news from the Yahoo comment section. Okay.
Yahoo help.
Yeah.
Yahoo
How about,
answers.
How about YouTube?
You stinky man. I thought you were going to just let it slide under the rug.
Don't call me a stinky man.
YouTube is number 2 on this list.
You foul, wretched,
You-
smelly beast.
I wouldn't touch you with the 10.5-foot pole. Why?
Thanks, Grinch.
Why am I getting grinched on? All right, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Amazon, Yahoo. How about 6? What are some websites that everybody that you
Internet.
can't?
Ever heard of it?
Internet.com. How about Wikipedia?
Wikipedia is number 7 on this list.
Damn it. Good answer, Coop.
Internet, boy. I was raised by the internet.
I really wanted you to miss Wikipedia
Why?
because you love it too much.
I do love it. I legit. I do donate.
It's like
to Wikipedia.
it's like me rooting for Simon to not get Nacho Libre.
Yeah. Wikipedia is just it really is amazing.
Nacho Libre is to Simon as Wikipedia is
It's
to
to
Coop.
Coop. Yeah.
Is 6?
As Amazon is to JL, I guess.
6 is probably some garbage news site. Is 6 like CNN?
CNN, bonk, is incorrect.
Is that 2 strikes?
It's 2 strikes.
2 strikes on the boy. There's 2 strikes on the lad. How about AOL?
AOL, bonk. That is 3 strikes, Coop. Simon, you have the opportunity to steal this. If you can guess number 6 correctly, Coop has correctly guessed 6 out of 7.
Unless Coop has already said this and I zoned out, which 100% possible. In fact, seems more likely than he left this available for me. Twitter?
Oh, it better not be Twitter.
Twitter is correct.
Oh
Simon,
my
you're gonna
God.
steal these points.
Once Reddit wasn't on there, yeah, but Twitter is more popular. Wow, I can't believe I didn't say Twitter.
Twitter, yeah, Simon, that's gonna catapult you all the way back into this game.
You
7-9.
Yes. You have no idea the level of confidence I had that you guys were going to say, yeah, he said that.
I should have said
Like
Twitter.
that I had just zoned out and missed it. Like,
I thought for sure he was gonna
said
say
it.
Twitter. Yeah,
The thing is, Twitter went through my mind so many times, and then I moved on to another website that I never came back. I just never brought it back.
My list was YouTube, Twitter, Wikipedia. You hit YouTube, you hit Wikipedia, and I was like, please just leave me one. Just please leave me Twitter, sir.
That's sad because
Please.
Twitter's such a terrible place.
They're all terrible places.
Twitter's not a real place, actually. Now that I think of it, but it kind of is.
What's not a terrible place on the internet? Can you think of a place? That's,
Wikipedia.
You're right. It is pretty like communal.
Humans of
and
New York.
that's another good one.
Addictinggames.com.
Nyan Cat.
E-Bombs World.
Even
Toontown.
Well,
Fortune.
4chan is
Yeah,
definitely
that's a
one of the
pretty
worst
vile
places.
corner of the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
how
we were
about
going to
better-
win this game
better
9-7.
All right.
You got my hopes up that I was going to be able to come back just to rip it out from underneath me, but it makes the scoreboard look a little less embarrassing. Everybody, we are going to be right back with some more Front Yard Fantasy morning show goodness. We got a draft coming your way, adult animation, then a new segment we're calling Show and Tell, and then our friend Alex is joining us for some trade value conversations. You're watching the Front Yard Fantasy morning show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Monday Night Rants with Edward Rouse on Bettor Sports Network.
Do you believe in the Madden curse? Do you think that's a real thing?
I did. Now, I don't think it's as big of a deal anymore, but it was a real thing for a solid 10, 15 years.
Yeah, it was Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, Peyton Hillis.
Well, LT was never on the cover. I know that.
Was he
never
not?
on the cover.
I thought he was one. Okay, well, you do know all the covers of everything.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want, I could do this real quick. So Garrison Hurst is the first official Madden cover athlete, 1999. 2000, I believe they still put John Madden on the cover, and then 2001 is where it all started. So 2001, you have Eddie George. 2002, Dante Culpepper. 2003, Marshall Falk. 04, Michael Vick. 05, Ray Lewis, first defensive player on the cover.
Okay.
06, Donovan McNabb. 07, Sean Alexander.
Okay.
08, Vince Young. 09, Brett Favre.
Okay.
10 is a trick one because it's
No way you know.
and Larry Fitzgerald. 11, Drew Brees. 12, Peyton Hillis. 13, Calvin Johnson, I believe so.
You're right.
14,
No way you know all this.
14, also a trick question.
Uh-huh.
I believe that's the Madden 25 cover, and it's Barry Sanders, unless you got it for the new consoles, in which case Adrian Peterson
Oh my God.
was on the cover.
You're not cheating. You're not looking at.
Swear on my life. Swear on my
Okay,
life.
okay. Keep on going.
15, you have Richard Sherman.
Okay.
16, okay, hold on.
Oh.
16 is Odell Beckham.
Okay.
16. 17, now this is the one I get mixed up because 17 and 18 are back-to-back Patriots.
They are.
17, I think, is Gronk, and 18 is Brady.
You are correct.
19 is Antonio Brown.
Correct.
20, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh my goodness.
21, Lamar Jackson. 22, Brady Mahomes. 23, John Madden. But yeah, dude, I'm a cover nerd when it comes to this stuff.
We now know, but that was really impressive. I don't know how.
Thank you.
That's literally 29 of them or something like that. Wow, that is. You did not miss a single one, and you even got the special editions where they had 2 people on the covers.
Monday Night Rants on Bettor Sports Network.
Oi, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. We are about to get into a draft here, an adult animation draft. We're talking cartoons aimed at the adult audience. We'll do a couple rounds of this, see who puts together the best team. And I'm excited for this one. I got some shows near the top of my list. I can't wait to draft.
Y'all.
Let's do it.
Determine our draft order here. Coop, we are going to determine your position first. Random number between 1 and 3. You got the first overall pick, my friend.
Your number generator absolutely loves going in order.
It truly does.
I'm just telling you what it's doing here. It's just the Google one. Only 3 options. Don't act shocked that it lands on one of 3 multiple times
I
in
will.
a row. Well, JL will determine yours next, and you are going third. It heard you,
Let's go.
and it punished you by
Feedback
putting
received.
you in third position.
I don't know if it's
And
a punishment.
I will be going second in this draft. So Coop, you got the first overall pick. JL with the third pick.
Yeah.
Be right in the middle in the nice little sandwich.
All right. Okay. First pick is interesting. I think with the first overall pick, I have to go with the chalk here. Like, I have to take what I think is the greatest animated adult television show of all time. Even if nowadays it's not as good as it once was. In its prime, I think it was the best show on TV, and it really opened the door for all these shows. So at one, I'm just gonna keep it simple and go with The Simpsons.
It's fair. And you know what? I'm glad I didn't have the burden of the first overall pick.
Yeah,
because it's
I
not my
wouldn't want to
favorite.
take it. Yeah,
It's not my favorite, but I totally understand taking Simpsons right there.
For a long time, it was my favorite show. You know what I mean? And there's still, me and my sister still are like, we know all the jokes from the time when we watched, like monorail, like all that stuff, so like all those, dude. So, my favorite Simpsons episode of all time. Do you remember the lemon tree episode?
I do not remember the lemon tree
where
episode.
the people from Shelbyville steal the lemon tree. That is, if anyone wants to watch just one nostalgic Simpsons episode, make it the lemon tree one. It's got everything. It's got everything.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. Joey down here said, if you don't take the Simpsons, you better believe that's a paddle.
That's a paddling. Jasper.
Well, Simpsons off the board, which means I'm on the clock with my pick here. Do I go with my heart or do I go with my other heart that's a little bit less strong? I'm going to take, I don't know. What's really bugging me out here is that JL's on the turn, and JL knows which shows are my favorite.
I do.
And he also knows which shows are popular, and I can't decide if he would take the one that I like that's more popular or the one that I love and would be very sad. I truly believe if I don't take this, JL's going to take it out of spite just to make sure it doesn't end up on my team, because it'll be very clear I'm just playing a game. This might be my favorite television show of
I
all
love
time.
that you're pre-tilted.
Yeah, it's brutal, dude. JL
I wanted that third pick.
I barely said anything.
JL can't let you have it.
I'm taking BoJack Horseman here.
Great show.
I think it's perfect. It combines some of the darkest and most emotional television I've watched, not just in animation, with the world's crappiest animal puns. Like, one of the main characters is a dog named Mr. Peanut Butter, and then they tackle very serious issues of like depression and mental health. It's this unbelievable juxtaposition put in the middle of a show that I can just turn on.
So, dude, Paul F. Tompkins might be my favorite person ever, and he's the one person that voices Mr. Peanut Butter, and he's like but like, he is so good on Comedy Bang Bang. If you ever check out that podcast, dude, he does so many amazing impressions, like Werner Herzog and all these guys, man. Like, Paul F. Tompkins is an absolute legend. And I watched all of BoJack Horseman. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even have found that show. But like that, I love that show, man. That's so good. My favorite bit is the two kids in the coat. What is that?
Vincent's Adult Man.
Yeah, Vincent Adult Man is the best, dude. That's the best, dude.
Yeah, Princess Carolyn's boyfriend, Vincent's Adult Man.
Yeah, I have absolutely no
He's
problem.
gotta do business. I gotta go do some business.
Gotta do a business. I'll have one alcohol. Like, that is so good. Yeah, I have absolutely no problem with BoJack Horseman there, or anywhere. Like, that is just
you could have him here, you could have him there, you could have him anywhere.
It's kind of its own class.
Anywhere.
It's its own class. So, would you have taken BoJack at the swing, JL?
But I'm so happy that he took that one, because I think that there are other options that I would have most likely taken ahead, and I think would have had a similar effect here. Now, I need a ruling from you guys. Is Adventure Time adult?
I don't think so.
We picked it
okay.
in the we picked it.
I'm fine either direction. Fine either distinction we make.
We
but I
picked
just
it.
wanted
It
to
was
Drawing that line there also disqualifies things like Gumball and Chowder and
I think the
Gravity
rule.
Falls are
Okay.
probably in that same category as like Adventure Time, where they're aimed at children but adults enjoy.
We've got an easy ruling for this. If it was picked in our other cartoon draft, it can't be picked in this one.
I have no memory of what was picked in the other cartoon drafts. So that might.
I think we can just
might
have
prove tough.
I have it up, so I can tell you.
All right, cool. Let's see. All right, so if I'm not going Adventure Time here, I'm gonna go Rick and Morty.
Oh, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, that one I thought you might take.
That was stupid of me. That was so stupid.
I'm gonna go Rick and Morty, and then I'm going to follow that up with the other one that I thought Simon was gonna go with here. I'm gonna go with Bob's Burgers.
That's the
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I was trying to decide what's more likely to slip back to me in the second round. Is it Bob's Burgers or is it BoJack Horseman? I thought you didn't like Bob's Burgers, but that you
It's the
might
other
take
way around.
BoJack purely out of spite.
It's
Bob's-
the other way around.
Bob's
I don't
Burgers.
like BoJack Horseman, but I do like Bob's Burgers.
So good.
He
And
miscalculated.
JL, so I just realized I have the other draft up, but you were off that day, and Joey did the draft. So here's that list real quick. Joey picked Bluey, Batman, Scooby-Doo, Gravity Falls, and Over the Garden Wall. That Gravity Falls Over the Garden Wall turn broke my little heart. I took Adventure Time, SpongeBob, Hey Arnold, Rocko's Modern Life, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Simon took Avatar, The Last Airbender, Star Wars, Clone Wars, Animaniacs, Jackie Chan Adventures, and Phineas and Ferb. So those shows are
Classic cap or bookend to Simon's draft right there.
Phineas and Ferb. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Such a good show. So, I can't believe you guys let me grab it with the last pick in that draft.
The
Just
people
criminal.
in the comments on Twitter were loving the Phineas and Ferb pick, and I believe Simon actually won the poll on that one. So Ferb put him over the top.
Well, John Luke, I'm upset by the Bob's Burgers pick. It is probably the most watched show in my household. We just turn it on all the time, where every time it shows up with a new episode on Hulu, there's like cheers of celebration. Who's your favorite character?
Oh, I don't know.
That's tough, dude.
I really like Gene.
Gene's my number one. I think he flies under the radar for most people, but every line he says is gold. He has me dying.
Yeah, Gene's good, dude.
The episode where he finds the like fancy toilet in the woods. Do you remember that one? He finds the hyper advanced luxury toilet that like speaks and it becomes his best friend is maybe my favorite episode in the whole show.
Tina's super underrated as well.
Yeah,
maybe not underrated, maybe appropriately rated, but
appropriately rated as hilarious.
Top tier. Yeah, top tier hilarious.
My girlfriend and I were driving home on a road trip one time. We were like, turn on a stand up to like make the last hour go by quickly. And so I just started searching on Spotify and I found one, turned it on, and then all of a sudden Tina was doing stand-up over the speakers in my car. It was a guy named like Dan Mintz, but I didn't know the name as the voice of Tina. And it's just this dude who does stand-up comedy. But it was so weird just hearing Tina's voice come through the speakers.
Yeah. All right. We are to Simon back to Simon.
And Jail took Bob's Burgers and Rick and Morty.
Such a clean turn. Such a clean turn. You had a lot to pick from, but I think you picked the two I would have picked. Those are the two I probably would have picked. I definitely would have taken.
I'm very happy with that.
I would have taken Rick and Morty 100%. That was my number two. You know, even if
that's the one I really wanted.
Oh, that show. There's very few shows that have made me laugh out loud by myself than that show. That's one of the shows that made me, when I first saw it the first season, I was like grabbing my friends by the shirt collar and being like, you have to watch this show. You know what I mean? Like that show is so funny. It still is.
I'm tilting a little bit. I'm like in full on tilt
like
mode.
to hear that.
JL, what I mean to say is you had a really good turn there with Bob's Burgers and Rick and Morty.
Thank you.
You know what? I'm overcomplicating this. Just go with the show you like. You've been like binge watching it over the past year. You've seen most of the episodes now. I'm gonna go with Futurama. Futurama is just
love that show.
Absolutely incredible show. The characters are funny. It's got the Simpsons feeling to it, but the humor is maybe a little bit raunchier, and I connect more with the sci-fi setting than like the American sitcom setting.
I'll tell you right now that in my heart, I wanted to take Futurama 1, to be honest. Like, there's no way I would have let it go by me, but I had to take The Simpsons because of my childhood, all that. But like, that's the show I've seen more than any other show. I've watched that show because that's when I'll just throw on and go to and just fall asleep. And there's actually an entire subreddit dedicated to people that throw on Futurama when they go to sleep, called Futurama Sleepers, of which I am a member.
It is the like perfect just nothing show in my mind.
It's so good.
Like
Yeah,
I never laugh from Futurama where I'm like I'm like cracking up. Like it's always a chuckle or just like a huh. And it's like, I'm never like drawn into the plot. It's just it's perfect for grabbing just like this much of my attention.
Yeah. Who's your favorite Futurama character? That's a tough one.
I don't know. Probably either
Zoidberg.
I was gonna say either Leela or Zoidberg.
Yeah. I love Zap Brannigan.
Zap Brannigan's voice.
Yeah. Or
if 1 million of my men have to die, that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Or Slurms McKenzie.
Hot. Hal in the chat was all about this one. Said I love Futurama. I own it all on DVD.
Yeah, that pick, you taking Futurama makes my picks much easier. I guess there's 3 here, but that I like. One of them I've spent significantly less time watching than the other. So I'm kind of going with chalk picks here, but at 2 I'm gonna take Archer. And Archer's another one where when they first came out, I love H. John Benjamin too. He's the guy that does the voice. He does the voice on Bob's Burgers as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that show,
he's a jazz pianist.
Yeah, that show is amazing, dude. And the thing is, some of the later seasons kind of fell off a little bit, which I hate. Sometimes that tarnishes like how good the bits were in the early ones. I don't know. Did you guys ever get into Archer?
I haven't watched all of Archer. I've seen episodes. I know Tim, whenever I lived with him, has watched every episode, so I've seen chunks of it, but never watched it in its entirety.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It is so good. And Joey is a one step ahead of what I plan to do here, which is just take South Park and walk it off. Which I got to take South Park, man. It is
enjoy it.
Yeah, South Park is there's nothing like it where these guys go out and they put together a
truly brave TV show.
Brave, modern, right? Like takes like, but they honestly, if you go back and look at the history of their show, very few of their takes ended up being wrong. Like one time
when you it's the same as The Simpsons though. It's like you make as many takes as that.
Yeah,
but I mean, they're going to turn out right.
They did have the ones where like they kind of bashed Al Gore, but then they came back and did another episode where they were like, you know what, global warming is real and it's a real problem, and we apologize. But beyond that, like, dude, they're willing to take on Scientology and like Islam. Like, they're not scared of anything, honestly. Those guys. So, got to take those guys. I will say, you can't have a list. You can't have a list.
They have their hits. They have a lot of misses.
Of course,
there's some episodes. There's some episodes that I have been on the ground laughing. Like the Sarcastiball episode is phenomenal. Yeah. But then there's other episodes where I'm sitting there and I just like, it's hard to even keep the TV on during that episode.
You can't have that many episodes of a show without having misses though.
Yeah.
You know,
South Park is a love-hate for me where I am just, sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it, but it had to be drafted in the adult animation draft at some point.
Had to be drafted.
Well,
I appreciate the support for my pick. It had to be picked, but not good.
Well, Goop, I feel like in drafts, generally, you are the one who will be like, guys, like, we can't just let this go. Like, I
can't let it go. I do love that. I really do enjoy that show, and
you take the value.
I encourage everybody to also go see the Book of Mormon, which is made by Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Have you guys seen that play yet?
I've not seen it, but I've heard it's hilarious.
It is some of the most laugh out loud stuff. It is so good, man. It definitely deserved the praise and the Tonys that it won.
Let's see. I'm back on the clock here. I've got a pick that I feel like nobody's going to pick, but we don't have many rounds left. I'm just going to go with my heart. I'm taking an old MTV cartoon called Clone High. Did you guys ever watch Clone High?
No.
It was a show that was like your typical like high school drama. I think like One Tree Hill type show, but it was animated and all of the characters were high school clones of famous historical figures. So there'd be drama where like JFK and Abraham Lincoln are fighting over Cleopatra, and like Genghis Khan's a character, and this Gandhi's like the stoner kid who hangs out in the bathroom.
I like that.
It's really funny. It's really awful at times, but it's so good. Just one of those things where like conceptually, I love that they had it and I love that they made it. Clone High.
I'll have to check that out. Do you know if that's available anywhere to like
I think
stream
I
right
bought
now?
it on Amazon is how I have it.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can just like stream it, but I'm pretty sure I bought it on Amazon season 1.
Clone High. I've never
Oh,
heard
it's
of
on.
that.
Oh, it's on Paramount Plus. I have that. Nice.
There we go. So do I. Why did I buy it on Amazon?
Well, now you have it forever.
Support it twice.
You love it that much.
Yeah, I like it that much, which means John Luke, you are back on the clock after my Clone High pick.
For 2.
I am for 2. This one is gonna be tough. I don't really have like a clear pick, so I'm gonna have to.
Tim in the chat said I nailed Simon's draft start. Nice, yeah. BoJack Horseman, Futurama, you got it.
Nailed it. All right, one of these is gonna be a hard pick. The other one is going to be a nostalgia pick.
Okay.
The nostalgia pick, I'm gonna go with Robot Chicken.
It was in heavy consideration for my last round. Yeah.
There's a few shows that really just immediately transport me back to a time and a place, and that's one of them.
Dude, and that time and place is like waking up in the middle of the night in college and thinking I'm having a fever dream because of what's on the television.
It's
Always
like-
in my friend's basement watching Robot Chicken.
That show is so funny, but that show is like proof of the theory of relativity because that show is the longest 15 minutes that you can experience. Right?
So good.
Like it's coming at you a million miles an hour. And by the time it's over, I'm like, hey, that was only a 15-minute show. That felt like a year.
Dude, the way you described it, though, I feel like is exactly how I remember Robot Chicken is every time it's waking up and Robot Chicken's on.
Yeah.
Like I never turned Robot
what?
Chicken on. I just came into consciousness. Like it was totally the fell asleep on the couch show.
There are so many of those shows, though, that like were put on like Cartoon Network overnight or whatever, like Adult Swim, that like I've never watched Squidbillies. I've watched every experience I have of Squidbillies has been against my will. Like,
Everyone who watches that show, that's the case.
against my will. Like I've never actively put on that show, but I've watched a bunch of it
What
like
makes it so endearing.
with one eye open. Yeah, but Robot Chicken, I think the reason it seems so long to me is some of those bits, like that is one of the few shows that could have a 4-second bit, and that is that where they hit the mark and make you laugh, and then it's on to the next one, right? Like some of those clips were 2 seconds.
Absolutely absurd. JL, I love that pick. I think some drafters may have let it slip through if it wasn't the three of us up here, but I'm glad it got drafted in our draft.
Yeah. And the next one I'm going to go with is definitely not going to be a crowd pleaser. I'm going to go with Harmon Quest.
Okay, that's
Oh,
a
wow. I
great
don't know if
show.
I know that
and
one.
I know it is not fully animated, but it counts.
Does that count?
It counts. Yeah, that counts.
That's a good point. I hadn't really quite thought of that.
It is
I never-
primarily an animated show, so it counts.
I've never heard
It's-
of it.
It's phenomenal.
You want to explain it, Simon?
You got it, JL. It's your draft pick.
It's my draft pick, but you're the one that told me about the show. It's a Dan Harmon show. They play Dungeons and Dragons and animate over it, and they bring on celebrity guests to essentially play characters in their campaign.
Oh, that sounds great. Dan
It's
Harmon
so
is so
good.
funny, bro.
And it's the audio of just them playing. So like it's them sitting around the table, but then afterwards they hire animators to
So
make it
good.
happen.
It's really good. Really difficult to watch. It's the only downside.
Why's that?
Just where you have to find it's on Verve, the streaming
Oh, okay.
platform.
I thought you
So
meant
it's not
difficult
like-
to watch as in like these, like, you know, the content.
There's a lot of
It's-
blood
it's
and gore
hilarious.
and violence and
Celebrities they get are like fantastic too. Kumail Nanjiani. They had
I love him
Ash-
so much.
Ashley Olsen. No, Elizabeth Olsen.
Mhm.
Thomas Middleditch.
Oh, Middle Dish is on it. He's funny too.
Yeah, they had him on. They had a lot of funny people.
I gotta check out Harmon Quest for sure. Like, cause I love Community. I love Rick and Morty. Like Dan Harmon, he's a funny dude.
He's hilarious, and that show is so good. If you haven't watched it, JL, I wouldn't have drafted it. I forgot.
I figured.
I'm glad you drafted it.
I almost went a different route here, but that's all right. I'm going with this.
Yeah, you got another pick at the end.
Harmon Quest. Robot Chicken Harmon Quest, and there's like 3 shows that I'm really in consideration with here that I'm trying to decide between. I'm probably going to go with the one that I watch the most. And there is a sub theme or a subplot in this show that elevates it above most other shows in the same category. I'm going to pick Solar Opposites here, which is the Hulu exclusive adult animation alien Rick and Morty adjacent show. But what elevates it, what separates it from some of the other shows, is there is a wall inside the show that's basically an ant farm for humans where one of the aliens has been shrinking people down and collecting them in there. And the wall has its whole own subplot where there's an entire world and like political revolutions and uprisings and coups and tyrannical leaders and like just drama inside the wall. And they'll take full breaks from the normal, like stupid comedy alien bullshit show to like have a like deep seated drama episode about the humans that have been shrunk down living inside the wall. It's phenomenal.
That's pretty cool.
I gotta check that. Good. Yeah, because that's made by the same guys as Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, so I gotta check that. I haven't seen that one yet.
Big fan. Our friend Josh suggested it to me, and I put it off for a very long time, and then finally watched it. And he was like, "I freaking told you were gonna love it."
Yo, quick time out here. Better Boss popped in the chat and said that Hal won the Better Cast last night, too.
That's good.
Yeah,
dude.
Hal, congratulations. You are last night's champion of the Better Cast. Come on down, collect your prize, and show us your feet, Hal.
Show us your feet,
Hal.
Show us your feet.
Show us your feet, Hal.
He already did.
To us.
He actually already did. He's way ahead of the game.
Them tutzels.
Congratulations, Hal. You are the champion of champions and the better of the better folk.
Show us your feet.
Show us your feet.
Well, Pete, you're on the clock. You got 2 picks here.
I'm in a tough spot here. Because there's 2 absolute chalk picks that need to be selected. And then there's 1 pick that like I personally want to pick just to highlight it. You know what I mean? Like I want to just pick it and highlight it as a show. But are you laughing at Joey's suggestion in the chat?
No. Hal said, my kid looked at me so weird as I danced to that and then started dancing too, unable to hear the music.
little silent disco, dude.
I love the idea of your kid just being like, I guess we're doing this now.
That's it.
Yeah. But I'm just honestly, just to highlight how ridiculous this draft has been so far, I'm just going to go straight chalk all the way top to bottom. So I already have The Simpsons, Archer, South Park, and I'm going to finish the draft by taking King of the Hill and Family Guy. And King of the Hill, that's the one that I wanted to pick last round, but I've watched pretty much all of it, but not. It never was like.
I don't remember a single episode.
Right. Yeah. And it wasn't like, but I know it is a great show. And it's like, it wasn't like The Simpsons to me where it was like, okay, The Simpsons is on, let's sit down and watch it. Right. Like it was on when it was on. Family Guy is one where I think it falls in the same category as South Park now, because it went on so long and it's so many darts being thrown, like just all over the place, left, right, clips that hit, clips that don't. But if you just take like the best clips from that show or the best bits from that show or the best episodes, it can go up against anything. Like some of these shows that we're picking are only 2 or 3 seasons long. And if you just if you were just to make 2 seasons of the best the best Family Guy episodes, they would crush a bunch of these shows. Like Family Guy, say what you will about it, that show is funny. There's no question about it. Like
that
you can't.
Is a fair argument. If you took the best episodes and made like 2 seasons length, I bet you could put together a pretty convincing argument.
Oh my god, there are so many clips. Like of all these shows, I truly believe that of all these shows, the funniest moments of Family Guy are funnier than anything that happens in any of the shows. Like some of the, because you can do whatever you want in Family Guy. Like you can just be like, Peter gets hit in the head and has a dream, and it's just the most ridiculous thing ever. So they were able to just to make whatever clips. It's basically like Chappelle's Show, where you can just
not
do
like Rick and Morty, where they have to operate within some sort of guidelines or
Yeah,
boundaries.
realistic constraints.
But they don't go in Rick and Morty. They don't go. I mean, they do go wild, but they don't go like everything kind of ties into the plot. Whereas Family Guy, a lot of times, it's just completely off the rails. Where like it stands on its own. Like there are 30-second
like that time that Summer and Rick had that giant incest baby.
Yeah. Well, we did have a good
Totally on the rails, non-chaotic.
I mean, it was integral to the plot.
Hey guys, both can have chaotic moments, and I was about to make it a fight again, Rick and Morty versus Family Guy, but we can go back and forth with like, yeah, well, what about this? Yeah, well, what about this? And the argument really boils down to there's chaos in both of them.
Yeah. What, do you think that Family Guy is funny, Joe?
So wise.
Joe, do you think Family Guy is funny?
As a whole?
Yeah, like is it?
I don't watch Family Guy now. I watched it when I was younger.
Did it make you laugh when you were younger?
When I was like 11 to probably like 14. Yeah, that was like peak humor for sure.
We watched a lot of Family Guy at my house whenever I was in high school. Know what I mean? Like once my sister was like late middle school, early high school, I was high school. That was the This Appeases Everybody show at the house where we put it on.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it much after that though.
Yeah, it's me neither. But the thing is, like, I still go back. Like, my buddy will still send me like a clip of like Peter trying to pick up a dead frog with the lid of a box, and it just like still makes me crack up. Or Peter walking around with forks in his eyes and being like, "Has anyone seen my glasses? Like these eyes are." He goes, "These forks are they're pretty good for seeing forks, but not much else." Like it's just the stupidest jokes ever that I love. So.
Well, South Park and Family Guy and King of the Hill on the turn. I love King of the Hill and Coop. I would have drafted it by now, but my biggest problem with King of the Hill now is that itch has been replaced by a non-animated show, and that is Letterkenny. I feel like Letterkenny scratches the same itch as King of the Hill to me, and in a better way. So every time I want to watch King of the Hill, I just want to watch Letterkenny more, and so I go watch Letterkenny. They get that same kind of like fast-moving, very casual dialogue that you crave from King of the Hill.
Yeah. Hal's got that frog joke. I poked some holes in it so he could breathe. That is one of my favorite bits, dude.
For my last pick, man, this show does not have a long run, but it's one season, but I really, really enjoyed that one season, so I think I'm going to draft it. I'm going to take Midnight Gospel here.
I hate you. I hate you so
I am going to draft
much, you
Midnight
idiot,
Gospel.
dumb boy.
Midnight Gospel. I've never seen that one either.
They take audio from a podcast where they often discuss pretty like metaphysical or existential things and then do some wildly trippy graphics behind it. Like I don't even want to describe some of the episodes because they're shocking, but there's ones where like there's interviews with his own mother about what it was like to raise him as a human or raise them as a human. And then they do these crazy psychedelic animations behind it. It's the perfect thing to sit down and let them explore something for you and just kind of take in what they're saying, what they're showing you. It's a great end of the day show to turn on. Turn off all the lights, throw on a dim lamp, and watch an episode of Midnight Gospel.
Wow, I'm looking at this now, and it's Duncan Trussell and Pendleton Ward. That's got to be absurd because those guys are crazy. Pendleton Ward's the guy that made like Adventure Time and all that stuff.
Adventure Time,
right?
yep. Yeah.
And then Duncan Trussell is just like out of control.
Was that going to be your last round pick, Joe?
No, I wasn't gonna pick that. I hate that show. It's a stupid show. I don't even know why they named it Midnight Gospel. Great pick, Simon. Fantastic pick. Midnight Gospel. Thought it would fall back to me, but it didn't. Stupid robot chicken. But you made my life easy, Simon, because I was having trouble picking between two choices here. I think you picked the better of the two choices, but I'm fine settling here. I'm going to go with Undone, which is a Amazon Prime show. This is going to be like a solely personal pick because I feel like most people probably haven't seen this, but it is so fantastic. It has that like a Scanner Darkly type animation over it.
I was literally just going to say that looking at the pictures that it's the Scanner Darkly style.
Yeah, it is fantastic. It's very ethereal, maybe is the right word. Like it's a heady type of show. It explores like death and different aspects of that, but it's so trippy and so good.
Nice, dude.
I'm looking at this. Yeah, I have.
Ooh, Bob Odenkirk's in this. Nice.
Yeah, Bob Odenkirk. Yeah,
He's great.
I've never even heard of this jail, but this looks phenomenal. Looks like something to add to my list to watch.
it's very good.
David Diggs is on that too.
I did not know
wild.
he was in it.
It has him on the cast list. He's the guy that did Hamilton.
I know. He's also.
Yeah.
I've been watching Extrapolations on Apple TV. He's in it. It's very good.
I feel like we gotta do one round of honorable mentions just to get a couple out there. Because
Just any that didn't get drafted that we wanted to say.
there's one
Death
I
Love
definitely-
Robots was one on Netflix that I almost put out there. It's
That's a
the
good one.
animation anthology. But that was probably the next that was going to be on my list.
I stayed out of anime, but there were a bunch of animes I wanted
I
to.
also assumed anime might be a different category at a later date.
Might have to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah. One I wanted to pick is the show Venture Bros. If you guys ever seen that one?
That's
That
a good one.
An
show,
episode, but I've never watched like it in its entirety.
that show is so funny, man. And Patrick Warburton's character on that show, Brock Sampson, is one of the great cartoon characters. Like if we were drafting just
Brockhampton.
Brock Sampson is his name on there. Yeah, Brockhampton again. If we're going to pick just individual characters from shows, Brock Sampson would have definitely been on my team then because that character's amazing.
Big Mouth, shout out.
I thought
that's
you
good.
might take Big Mouth.
I was between Big Mouth and Midnight Gospel in that last one, but I feel like Midnight Gospel rounded my team out a little bit. House's Paradise PD is awesome, terrible, but awesome. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I hate that show, and I've seen every episode. Every last episode. Every freaking episode of that show, I couldn't turn it off, but I hate it. Every time I was watching it, like the whole time, I'd be like, God, this is stupid. This is so dumb. Next episode. This is just the dumbest thing I've ever watched. Next episode.
Keep watching.
Just over and
So
over
many
and
of
over
those.
again.
Boondocks is one that I was gonna
Yes.
draft. Yeah,
I like
multiple times.
and
I
I won't ya. Boondocks.
Boondocks.
I like ya and I won't ya.
Old school
Beavis
and Butthead. I got in trouble when I was 4 years old for being cornholio. They told my parents they had to stop letting me watch Beavis and Butthead because I was walking around preschool with my shirt over my head going, I am cornholio. Which to my teachers was probably hilarious. A little kid running around doing Beavis and Butthead impressions.
Yeah, I liked. There's a show that nobody really ever watched, but besides me and my college roommate, did you ever see the Brendan Small TV show Home Movies? And
No.
H. John Benjamin is in that as well. He plays like it really is just if you just watch the clips of H. John Benjamin's character in that, then that's all you need to see. But he plays like the soccer coach for these kids, and it is some of the funniest stuff I've seen too. So shout out Home Movies. Gotta have that in
Jay
there.
in the chat said Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and I almost drafted that one as well. That's definitely part of that Robot Chicken nostalgia, that Adult
Yeah.
Swim late night shows.
I oddly never really watched that one.
That one made me giggle. Freaking Carl.
Just the voice of the meatball alone is
The
enough to
meatball, the
elicit
meatball.
a giggle from me every once in a while.
Meatball's
And
good.
like, if I'm just like not quite ready for it and he comes in with his little meatball voice, like it gets me
It's
to
so
giggle
good.
immediately.
It's very funny.
I'm going to practice that one. That's an impression I want to be able to whip out, the meatball from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Good
Just
luck.
you wait, this time next week, you're going to be calling me meatball.
Oh, Hal says he's got a meat wad. There you go.
Meatwad. That's the name. I'm sitting here calling him meatball like a fool. It's meatwad. He's not
Meatwad.
a ball. He's a
I
wad.
haven't watched that show in forever. I wonder if it holds up.
Maybe. Probably not.
All those Adult Swim shows, I'm like,
Yeah.
Also, Jay with the direct quote. I want to whip out my meatball. Simon.
Simon,
Bust
there
And
you
if
go.
I didn't say it before, I did say it now. So now you guys learned you can get me to say anything you want just by putting it in quotes with my name after it. I'll read it out loud, and then it's not false that I said that. Guys, coming up, we've got some show and tell ready for you. And then our friend Alex is joining the show to talk about trade values. Right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
As a longtime baseball fan, here's my message to other baseball fans to steal a line from the Packers future Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers, RELAX. Everyone needs to relax after what we saw this past weekend as spring training games out in Arizona and down in Florida got going, and we're inching closer and closer to Major League Baseball opening day. The rule changes in Major League Baseball is not for myself. It's not for you out there, the hardened baseball fan, whether you're a fan 5, 10, 15, 30, or even 50 years from all around this great country. It's not for those that are going to be locked in. It's for trying to generate more fans. So if they want the pitcher to go out there and work in rhythm with a guy on base, begin to wind up within 20 seconds, nobody on base, begin to wind up within 15 seconds, or have the batter make sure that he's back in the batter's box within 8 seconds, then making the base pass first, second, and third bigger, eliminating the shift. All of this is to make the game better. We've seen leagues, whether it be the National Football League, do you think it's the same league as it is today in 2023, or what we saw in 2022 as it was 30 years ago? No, it's not. Is NBA basketball the same? No. How many games do you see being played? 83-79 finals. You don't see that at all. So every league adjusts to try and bring what? More fans into the sport. And that is something that Major League Baseball is going out there and trying to do. I've been critical at times of Rob Manfred, whether or not as a MLB commissioner, whether he likes the sport based on some of the rhetoric that he has spewed in years gone by. But I got to be honest with you, as a longtime baseball fan, I've been a Yankee fan my entire life. Watched a ton of Met games here in the tri-state area. Watched baseball all around. Can't wait for October baseball. Think it's absolutely unbelievable what is transpiring now and what's happening now, and the rule changes being brought about baseball. It's going to bring back to the game to when I became a fan, where the stolen base was something, moving guys over was something, having men on base, batting averages ascending, not being an all or nothing league where either you're striking out or hitting the ball over the fence. And that is what baseball is trying to do. So as everybody tries to adjust, and change is difficult, whether you're changing your diet, exercise routine, changing your relationships, changing a job, change is different. I get that. And it's hard. But let's take a step back. Let's understand what Major League Baseball is trying to do here. And they're trying to repopulate or repopularize the sport. That's what they're trying to do. They're clearly the third most popular sport in the United States. They want to make it less regionalized. This is the way they need to go about doing it. I'm all for it. For more content like this, download the Bettor Sports Network app or go to bettorsports.com.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. We're about to get into a new segment we called Show and Tell. It's a segment where we're bringing something that we want to show to the class, whether it's a movie we watched, a TV show we're currently watching, a game we're playing, or a tool that we're using, just something cool to showcase to everybody. Before we get into that, I want to remind everybody who's watching this over on the BSN app, you should update your apps. Go into that app store if you don't have auto updates on. Hit update. There's some new features in there. Make your viewing experience any better. Even better. Not even any better. Just even better all around. So hit that update button. You guys ready to get into some show and tell?
Yeah.
Who's going first? I got something. We all got something.
Then go for it.
Okay.
Show
I'm going
us.
to jump
Tell
in.
us.
Well, I don't have the physical thing because I've been listening to audiobook for it. I wanted to talk about a book series that I've been listening to that I've really, really enjoyed. It is the mythology series written and narrated by Stephen Fry. And if you know who Stephen Fry is, he is a British actor and comedian. He's been a host and has just an incredible.
The moment you see his face, you will recognize
exactly.
him.
If you don't remember his name, you're going to Google Stephen Fry and go, "Oh, that guy!
Yeah.
Oh, I know that guy." And so he narrates it, and first of all, just unbelievable narration. But what it is so far there's 3 books. There's Mythos, which breaks down like the Greek gods and the myths surrounding them. There's Heroes, which breaks down like the heroes of Greek myth, like Hercules and Achilles and Jason and Atalanta, and you get kind of the stories of these guys.
Wait a minute.
What?
One of those things sounds different than the others.
Which one? Jason?
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Quintivious, Jason.
Well, maybe you should. Yeah, it's like that's like I was there's a prophet in the I was listening to the last one, which is about Troy, the Trojan War. It's a retelling of the Trojan War. And there's a prophet, and they're like Diomytheus and Euclides and his sister Cassandra.
Sarah.
Like just Cassandra lives among all of these people.
Yeah.
Like just a time traveler who got stuck back there. But then the last one's about the Trojan War. And they're things you're familiar with a lot of the time. Know what I mean? We know about Zeus and we've heard Aphrodite and we know about Hercules a little bit. So there's some familiarity while you're listening to it. But the way he tells the story, he's just an expert storyteller. And it makes it so much fun to listen to. And I feel like it's a good piece of knowledge to have available. Know what I mean? Like to be aware of the Greek myths. It inspires so much of our modern entertainment are based off of the stories of these heroes and of these myths. So many like archetypes of characters are based off of this. So it's a cool thing to have a connection back to.
Do we know who wrote all those?
There's multiple different sources that we go back to.
Is it like the Bible?
You mean in the sense that like there's multiple people who have contributed to the overall mythology?
Yeah.
Like not one writer. Yeah.
And like it goes so far back that like it's just tough to tell exactly where they came from.
I think a lot of it comes from Homer and what he wrote, depending on like what we're talking about there. And then there's other sources that they use. I don't go back to the original sources because it's always written really confusing. The furthest back I go is like Edith Hamilton's Mythology and the Mythology series by Stephen Fry.
Yeah.
Were the Greeks the first mythology people?
No. There's been mythology as long as there's been human, probably. And Roman mythology was an adaptation of Greek mythology, or they came up simultaneously. Like there's dialogues for every Greek god. You can pretty much name the Roman equivalent.
I choose to believe in all the gods.
Every single one. Hades and Pluto as separate beings. Poseidon and Neptune.
Why not? Or at least, you know what? At least, hey, why not? I'm more of a why not type guy, right? Why not?
Why not?
Can't really prove one way or the other, so let people believe what they want. I choose to believe that it all could be possible.
That's what, when listening to the like specifically, I want to recommend all three books. They're fun to listen to. There's a fourth one coming out covering basically the Odyssey, the travels of Odysseus after the Trojan War, is coming out next year. But the second one, the Heroes book, because I feel like that's one where we know the names, but I didn't really know the full stories. Like I didn't know the full story of Heracles, right? Like that was something that I just knew the Disney version. That book was so cool to listen to.
Now I
definitely want to check it out because I feel like mythology in general is something that I've wanted to get into since probably, I don't know, like early high school. Never could.
It's so
never found an accessible, and an entry point that wasn't like such a derivative that it was like so far removed from it all.
This is so approachable and still true to the source material. Like it doesn't dumb it down for you.
Yeah, and I love anything like that where it's like you can learn from it too. Where you can throughout your daily life be like, you know, that reminds me of the story of Prometheus, and then you just kind of hit somebody with a banger, you know. So it's if you're learning life lessons.
Guy. Oh, this is a lot like that's me all the time.
Actually,
now I got to ask you though, because like I'm one of the guys that like I know you say okay, second book is awesome, you should check that out at least. But I'm one of those guys that like I really do like doing things in order, and if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do them all. Is there an order to it, or can you kind of jump in wherever? Like
the order is Mythos, Heroes, Troy, and they do kind of like. It's nice to have the background of knowing about all the gods whenever you go into the Heroes book, because there's relationships like back to Apollo, and this is the son of Zeus, and so to have that background going into it is nice, but completely unnecessary.
That's where I would start then, personally.
Well, there's mine. That is my show and tell. Who's going to jump in here next?
I'll go next. And I've actually mentioned this on the show before, but I feel like some people might not have ever seen one. So this is my favorite toy right now to cook with, and it is a immersion circulator. So looks like this. You plug it in, and then you take like this right here, and you fill this with water, and you put this inside here in the water, right? Like that. And what it does is it heats the water to whatever you set this thing to, and it kind of like keeps it swirling.
And
So
then you get
you
inside?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
And then you get inside?
And then you get inside. Yeah. So it's and you take a bath, right? And then that's the broth. And then
Can you raise fish?
And then you raise fish in there, yeah. And then you have the
Tilapia?
fish in the broth, yes. And then you make tilapia. And then sometimes if it's not fishy enough, you need to go to the artificial fish smell factory that we talked about earlier and get some of that.
So, and I'm going to say something really stupid here, probably. This is not the same as sous vide something.
It is. So the device is called an immersion circulator, and the type of cooking is called sous vide.
Okay.
So it's like for instance, if I was going to bake, the thing I would use is called an oven. So in this case,
that made it so clear, and I'm laughing just because it was such a stupid sentence, but it worked. I was like, "Oh, this is the oven.
Yes.
This is the oven of sous vide."
So this is the oven of sous vide, the immersion circulator, right? So and it's not the best way to cook everything, because there's not really one best way to cook every single thing, but there's a lot of things that I use this, like certain things that I'll never go back to cooking them other ways. So what you do with this is you put stuff in bags, it's completely zipped, ideally with the air completely out of them, right? So one thing that is cooked really well in this that a lot of people do is steaks. And you do like a steak and you set it to the exact temperature you want so that it's cooked through to that temperature. So I'll do like ribeyes at 137, cook them, and then you finish them just by putting them in the cast iron, bang, bang, right? That's one thing. But steaks can be cooked anyway. There's a few things that I will only do in the sous vide moving forward. One of them, corn on the cob. So with corn on the cob, you can take the corn on the cob and put it in the bag, and then you put the butter and the salt and whatever else you like in the bag, and then you put the bag into the immersion circulator. So you can basically boil it at that temperature, except it's being cooked in the butter. So it's
you ever tried using other liquids?
I do marinades all the time.
Oh, I meant like Dr. Pepper.
Like, I don't see why not. I said marinades, didn't I? So yeah. Yeah. Another thing you can do with it that like I'll do is like
flavors.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things you could do. Like, for instance, one thing I use it for all the time is if you forget to defrost something, you take it and throw it in here, frozen, and it defrosts things. It defrosts things in like 10, 15 minutes. So it's like if you were supposed to leave the chicken out, like say you're a kid at home and you're supposed to leave the chicken out and your mom's gonna yell at you, you just fire up the immersion circulator, get that going. Another thing I've done is one time I forgot to chill a bottle of champagne. So I took this, set it down to the lowest setting, like 32 degrees, threw some ice cubes in there, boom, chilled. What's up?
Done. And also you can make some medium rare chicken in there. Yeah, that sounds delicious.
Well, that's the thing though. If you're like certain things that I worry of, if whether like if you undercook them, they're horrible for you. Like pork, for instance, if you undercook pork, it's like dangerous. I know with this device that I'm always cooking it to exactly 162 degrees or whatever temperature I set it to, because you put it in there and leave it, right? It's great.
I just burn everything that I'm worried about not cooking long enough, so that might be a useful tool for me. Well, guys, the person who came up with show and tell is getting cut off right now because we have a very special guest joining the show. Our friend Alex, aka the Trade Daddy himself, Mr. Peaked in High School, is coming on to talk some trade values with us. For those of you who do not follow Alex, fix that right now. Go to his Twitter at @PeakedInHS_FF and give Trade Daddy a follow.
Daddy, baby, I got your money. Don't you worry. I said, Trade Daddy. Baby, I got your money. Trade.
What's up, Alex?
Daddy.
So, I mean, we can talk about trade values, or we can just keep talking about cooking stuff, because I was enjoying that sous vide in the backstage. Like, that's
nice, right? Yeah. I mean, and I'm telling you, we didn't just barely scratch the surface. I'm gonna actually do my own.
We could have named 40 more vegetables you can put in there.
Minimum.
I mean, for meat, it's perfect. You can't beat it, right? Like
it's true. It's true. So,
what would you rather have, a sous vide steak or Mike Williams in Dynasty?
Sous vide steak.
I'll have to pull up the trade chart. What is-
That's a steak.
Mike Williams is
Like,
at
hey,
30.
it's got more value.
You can't start Mike Williams.
I feel like it's easier to trust that steak.
The steak's never broken its neck.
No.
Yeah.
Mike Williams.
Never scored touchdowns.
Um, steak might have. You know
never
what?
scored a
Actually,
touchdown.
let's move on from the steak talk right here. Well, we brought Alex here to talk a little bit of trade values. For those of you that do not know what Alex does, Alex is the creator, the procurer, the almighty daddy of the best trade value charts in the business. And he's the product manager over at Draft Sharks. Alex, you want to tell people a little bit about what you're doing with the trade charts, how you come to those values, and then we can dive into them a little bit?
Sure. So they're a little different than some other trade charts out there because they're really aimed at trying to get a view of what the market's doing. They aren't biased by me because I don't make dynasty ranks, so I literally can't bias them. So what I'm doing is I'm aggregating, putting them through a model, and then generating these values for these guys in terms of each other. So the running back in terms of wide receiver, in terms of tight end and quarterback, and then doing the same for the picks. And then the picks kind of can sit in a range because a lot of the time we don't really know what those picks are, in particular like a 2024 first. When you go to trade for that 2024 first, you should not assume that it is going to be the 101 because then you're going to win that trade. But if you assume that team turns it around and it's going to be the 112, you just lost that trade. So you have to kind of have that range of what that can be in mind, and that lowers overall value as well. That's one of the things I see a lot of newer players doing, or even I guess more experienced players doing wrong, is you're not baking in that uncertainty.
And I know that you don't bias the ranks because I explicitly asked you to lower the value of Chigo Okonkwo the other day so that we could get him in all our dynasty leagues, but you wouldn't do it. Not without sufficient Venmo payment.
Yeah.
I mean, you have him in a dynasty startup, and it felt so good. Whenever, like way down in like round 15, whenever I was able to click draft on Chicago, I was like, oh man, roster talent.
I mean, it took him a while. He stayed pretty low for a minute. It took a minute for him to really get pushed up to. I mean, I like where he is now. I think that. I mean, do you think that's too high, or do you think that's about where you would have him?
Where is he on the charts?
He's just under Trey McBride, Cole Kmet at 21. You might not recognize it because it's his full name instead of.
It's Chickazim. I don't have the trade chart up. Why? Are we looking at the 1 QB or 2 QB dynasty?
So I just tweeted out one maybe 40 minutes ago. That's hot, like it's fresh. It was just run.
Posted the link in the chat. If you want to follow along, go ahead and hit that link. You can see Alex's trade value charts for two Superflex. Yeah, Superflex Dynasty.
Fresh out the sous vide.
There we go. I got him pulled up.
137, 12 hours.
So he's jumped up quite a bit, even from last month. Whenever you ran this, he's closed the gap between himself and that group above him, not insignificantly. He was down below Noah Fant previously, and that was after a decent jump. And it looks like maybe there was some value lost ahead of him as well, not just him jumping up further. Interesting.
Yeah, that's what happens with a lot of the tight end ones. Is we notice it during the season where it's not so much one guy coming down, one guy going up, but something happening that drops another guy down. In this case, I'm surprised that Darren Waller hasn't moved up more than he did. Maybe people are still kind of adjusting to the idea that he's now in a new spot where he could potentially be a top target on the team. But I don't know. I think Waller could stand to be just a little bit higher than where he is.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I thought that would be the overall sentiment as well. But then I listened to a podcast this morning. It was a Dynasty One on the DAP network. Those guys, I can't remember who it was, but one guy said was completely out on Waller. So I think the average sentiment is some people are just like, no, he's been in the league 8 years. He did it 1 year. I don't care that he went somewhere. I'm like, well, but he just is good. I don't know.
Right.
Like, I'm pretty excited about him. Yeah.
He's had 2 1,100-yard seasons. 1 year he had the 9 touchdowns, which was like the difference maker. But I mean, most of these guys are never having a single 1,000-yard season. Dallas Goedert's never had a 1,000-yard season. Like he's probably capable of it, but he's also behind 2 other really good wide receivers. Whereas Waller now is, I mean, we think that Wan'Dale Robinson is good, and I mean Isaiah Hodgins is fine, but like I think he's the best pass catcher on the team. So I'd be
Probably.
willing to jump in there at that price for sure. So
It makes me think he's a dynasty buy.
right. There's a few other
He's
guys.
30 years old. He's 30 years old, and he's I think that when I'm looking at the names around him, Dalton Schultz, Greg Dulcich, I could see why there's a decision to be made. Darren Waller, when he was successful, he was really the main option on that team. There weren't a ton of other options. It's just circumstance, right? That his circumstance led him to be the big fish in that pond. So I think there's cause for concern, but I still think there's probably a little value to be had there.
When you said the name Greg Dulcich, it put into perspective, maybe this is the all right range, because in Dynasty, who do I want on my team? Darren Waller or Greg Dulcich? Give me Dulcich. Like I will take Dulcich over Darren Waller in a Dynasty league right now, I think.
For me, it depends what kind of build I have going, because like if I had to pick who's going to outscore who this season, even if Sutton and Judy even if one of Sutton or Judy gets traded, I'm not sure Dulcich is going to outscore Darren Waller. Like, I think
Beaver on the chat said, "Who's his QB?"
Daniel Jones.
Danny Dingles.
Yeah, but so I mean, it's just like for me, it's at a certain point. Like obviously at the top, you have Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews, who are good and they're fairly young, right? Then you have Kelsey. At a certain point, you get a split where it's like you're picking either the young guy with long-term upside, or you're picking the older guy who can perform right now, right? Like I don't think there's very many people that would rank Dulcich over Waller in redraft.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But we might, if depending on the moves we see the Broncos make, right?
Depending on the
If
moves.
Judy or Sutton leaves, then I could see them being similarly ranked.
Yes, but if that was the case, like if the moment Sutton gets traded, Greg Dulcich is flying up this chart.
Probably. It is interesting, Alex. Whenever I look at these charts, you separate them into tiers as well. But it's clear how linear the quarterback and tight end positions are. Like they still break out into tiers, but the values don't just go in a straight order. They kind of follow the tiers of the other positions, like the running backs and the wide receivers, with where that next set of values starts. Not perfectly, but relatively closely. Is this just a symptom of the current landscape? Do you ever see them more tightly bunched, like where it's closer in the middle?
Yeah, for a minute though, the wide receivers in like the February and January editions, the tier 3, 4, and 5, they just kind of clumped all together. And I'm not really sure exactly what happened to spread them out, because they just did a little bit. Like they just were some of them were just a little bit more clumped than normal. But they kind of separated themselves a little bit more and made it easier to see those tier breaks, I think, when you're looking at it.
Maybe there's more consensus during the off season. Yeah. And so
I mean, more people coming back in March, like fresh after grinding through the whole season. They take January, February off, and then they're like, okay, I guess we'll look at it again.
Yeah.
Linear dynasty rankings are tough. I wonder if there's any way that we could basically like make some sort of chart that goes like, okay, at the very top, you have the guys that are young and very good. So Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown. It can be linear till there. And then there's like a decision point where it goes like this. And on one side, you have Stephon Diggs. And on the other side, you have Drake London, exactly. Where it's like now you got to kind of make a decision. Virtually everyone would project Diggs to outscore London for the short term. But London is obviously 7 years younger than Diggs. So it's like, maybe you could create rankings where it's like, okay, the value's equal here, but you kind of have to, you kind of want to decide how to balance your roster. Like if you're trying to compete now versus go young, or both, where, okay, this round I picked a guy off the left side of the wide receivers. So next round, I'm going to pick a guy off the right side of the running backs and go a little younger. Like maybe there's a way to create some sort of decision tree like that, or maybe that's stupid and I'm just talking for no reason. What do you guys think? What do you guys think?
I do think the tiers separated in here kind of serve that purpose, where you can look at it and yes, you have to make the decision, but you can say, do I want to go old? Do I want to go young? And if so, I'm picking from players in this tier. The players we mentioned, Stephon Diggs and Drake London, are both sitting in tier 2, right? So you can go, I want to go wide receiver. I want to take one of these tier 2 wide receivers. Which direction do I want to go with it? Serves that purpose right there.
The farther you go down, the more drastic those decisions become, right? Like as you go down and you look at it and it's like, do I pick, Keenan Allen or do I pick Kadarius Toney? Because it's like, that's
more uncertainty.
Yeah, the more uncertainty, but it's like now I'm going to pick a much older guy, or I pick a guy that is just a complete younger wild card, and they're sitting next to each other in these rankings. It's like that's what makes the linear ranking so tough, is that it helps you with the value, but the decision is so
it's a non-linear
drastically
game.
different.
Yeah, the decision making isn't linear, so you have to account for that.
Mm-hmm. But the great part of the trade, this chart though, is that without thinking about it this way, you wouldn't know if that's a fair trade or not. But when you look at it with the sentiment of like the industry and everything, then you do know that if you're competing now versus a team that's rebuilding, a Kadarius Toney for Keenan Allen swap makes a lot of sense. So that's the beauty of these charts.
Absolutely. Alex, you said you just ran these. They're fresh off the presses. Were there any movers that were surprising to you, risers, fallers, or maybe lack of movement from this iteration of the chart?
So I hit run on the model right as Dalton Schultz signed. Maybe Dalton Schultz signed like an hour before. So he was one that I expect maybe would have went down a little bit. I don't know. But maybe his value's fine. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
he was one that was interesting. Damian Pierce dropped 9 spots. And he not him, but Singletary signed maybe the day before I ran these.
That makes sense. Yeah, we were talking about the draft capital and concerns with him. This is the exact issue, is these swings, right? When you have a player like this with low draft capital or not high draft capital, they're going to swing.
I don't know. Go ahead.
I would say another one I wanted to ask you about as the trade chart aficionado, that you understand these more than anybody else, obviously. Like a guy like James Robinson, you see he drops -10 here. Does that mean that people were just really holding out some hope for him, just hoping that he wouldn't land in a spot like he did?
I don't know, man. I don't know what anyone would do with James Robinson at this
That's
point.
what I mean. I'm like, was there a lot of hope?
No.
It seems like people are disappointed, but it's like, what do they expect? Like, why was he hanging on to so much value? Like, and that kind of thing to me makes me wonder, like, okay, what other free agent out there is holding on to value that we should try and get rid of before it gets confirmed, right? Like, I'd
be surprised if anyone would take James Robinson from you right now for almost anything, or even before it. Like, he got traded to the Jets and didn't do anything. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a Kareem Hunt, for instance. I look at his value up on that chart, and I wonder what happens when it's confirmed that he's going to be a backup somewhere.
Where is James Robinson on the chart? I keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
In the middle of the orange, mid-third, right under Pierre Strong.
Oh, wait, no. There he is down in the purple, the one I'm looking at, the one from his Twitter.
Oh, I was on the wrong one.
He's at
Alan
11.
chat said, I need a dynasty league. Yeah, you do. Dynasty is my favorite.
It's like, I don't even see James Robinson on here. I think he fell off the chart.
I see him at 11 on the one I'm looking at on your Twitter.
Okay.
I see him, Simon. 11.
Okay, I see him now. Yeah, so he went up 2.
Well, in the last one he took a huge drop. Apparently, I was looking at the wrong one. But yeah, kind of interesting with those guys.
I also see Hal down here asking, why does draft capital affect position players but seems to have no bearing on defensive guys or O linemen? So I got a real easy answer for that. I have no idea because I don't pay attention to the contracts for defensive players and O linemen as much, and I wish I had a better answer for you, Hal. So maybe someone else does.
Yeah, so I mean, with offensive linemen, it's just like you go into the grinder and it seems like it's easier. Like you either get the job or you don't. That's the thing with offensive linemen, is that when you look at the snap counts for all the position players, the best ones are playing still only like 80-90% of the snaps or whatever. Running backs, the best ones are playing like 60-70. These offensive linemen, a lot of them are playing one over 1,000 snaps, 100% of the snaps. So you're either a starter or you're not, and that's why a lot of the offensive linemen, I think, once you earn that job and you're a starting offensive lineman, they don't care about the rest of it. So I think that's why that changes. And with defense, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No, finish your part.
I was gonna say with the defensive guys, like the guys that get drafted at the top, like defensive ends, it definitely matters, and pass rushers, because there's certain guys that can do it and certain guys that can't, and the guys that can get to the quarterback just get paid way more than everybody else.
Yeah, I think you could boil it down to two things. It's a really good question. I think you can boil it down to two things. One is the supply and demand aspect of it, and that's what I think Coop is touching on here. Is there's just like there's more wide receivers out there, skill position players, people willing to play that, who are good enough to play it, than there are for a lot of these other positions. And I think the second aspect of this is the public pressure part of it, and the fact that skill position players are very much in the public's mind, and so there's more pressure from the the public on the decision makers to make moves, as opposed to like defensive players. There's not as much.
Yeah, I think that's a great addition. I'm looking at this chart, and there's some other movers on here that seem pretty clear based on some moves. Like Rashad Penny jumping up 7 spots is probably due to his new landing spot, right? Is that normal behavior for this chart after a free agent signing?
I mean, didn't you hop on Twitter right after? Everyone was jazzed, man. Like, I'm surprised he wasn't worth 40 points. Like,
right.
Yeah. And
well, there's probably some people
it.
moved him up 80 points, and a couple other people knocked him down 7 just because they hate him so much. And so that's how you get the average of up 7.
Yeah, like I traded the 101 for him in one league just so I would have a piece. Like,
I'll tell you, if the news on the actual amount that he got paid never dropped, then he would have been way higher, because that was the kind of come back to earth moment where they were like $1.3 million. Maybe not the mega drop the confetti moment that we thought it was.
But these are the types. This is where these charts really come in handy. This is how I use them all the time. Is looking at those trends, looking at these like big swings in public sentiment, because most of the time it's not going to hold up, or it's going to change. It's going to change again. So that's where the value of these charts come in.
Yeah, and you're right, JL, that it seems to be so tied to public sentiment. It's crazy. Like Austin Eckler mentions that, like, one rumor drops on Austin Eckler, he loses 9 points, right?
Yeah, take advantage of that.
Wild, yeah. That's how you got to sneak in. This is a good way to peek in and see what people are thinking out there, and see if you can take advantage of whatever news is going on in the moment. Well, the biggest example I remember was when Tyreek Hill, the whole thing came out when his son broke his arm and all that stuff. Like, he was free, and then by the way, that was a big nothing. And also we're signing him to a big extension, right? And then it was like, oh, okay. Wish I didn't trade Tyreek Hill a week ago.
Yeah.
So
Mecole Hardman was a first.
Mecole Hardman in the first.
Yeah. Alex, there was something else going on this chart that I don't quite understand why it's happening, but there seems to be a pretty clear trend. Quarterback value seems to be getting pumped up, like across the board. There's a lot of positive, especially at the top compared to other positions. I'm guessing. Do you think this is off-season behavior causing quarterback value to just rise across the board pretty much simultaneously?
I think part of it was that quarterbacks are probably a little undervalued to start. And I think there was a shift of like go try and trade for a quarterback in a super flex league
right now.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard, right? Like no one's going to give up Trevor. I mean, maybe Fields. I don't know, because you might get people that don't believe. But like, go try and get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow. Like maybe Herbert you could, but like Josh Allen, Mahomes. So I think they were maybe even a little undervalued, and I think I like where they are now more, because they're hard to get if you aren't drafting them in the startup or overpaying like crazy. They're hard to acquire.
Yeah.
The other
just looking at this, like some of the wide receivers, AJ Brown for like the quarterbacks right below Kyler Murray, that probably is around where Kyler Murray needs to be. Like he needs to be valued similarly to AJ Brown, because that's the kind of player you're going to have to move to get him.
That's how they're drafting a startup. Now, my first thought is that, so you run the chart in February, and when all these guys are free agents and they can't sign anywhere, and then you run it again now, it's like you have all these teams that are empty and all these free agents that are just kind of sitting around, and then you start putting those guys on teams. Like, naturally, the quarterback value is going to come up. Like, you take Justin Fields, right, and then just sprinkle a little DJ Moore on there, sprinkle a little David Montgomery, and then of course we're going to look at Fields and his value is going to be up. So maybe right now is a good time to look at it. And if you were going to sell a QB, could be a good time to do so.
It is kind of like narrative street. Like people, like that's what you can kind of visualize is like the narratives happening. Because I think Coop, you make a good point. It's people can actually visualize what that player is going to be next year, and that helps them either get excited or the opposite.
Calvin Ridley coming back. Like, look how good Lawrence was in his first year outside of Urban Meyer. Just imagine what he'll be next year with Calvin Ridley added to the mix. You're right.
That's it. But we see that trend at various parts of this game. Like rookie picks the same way, right? Like the closer it becomes to being real, where people can attach a name to it, it becomes more valuable.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of these charts. Like the Damian Pierce example is great because like everyone was saying, hey, trade this guy before something happens. And now this chart can show you exactly what happens, right? You can see exactly what happens when they add that player. Alex, I gotta ask you one more guy that kind of jumped out to me is what do you think might be responsible for the change? And I know, again, you're not the person that assigns the values. So you're doing your best to kind of try and explain the market. But what do you think is the reason that Saquon Barkley lost so many points from February to now?
I think it was the tag, to be honest. I think people were having hope that he would go to Kansas City or somewhere fun, right? Yeah. Really somewhere with a good offensive line, somewhere. So it was just like, yes, he could be anything. He could be Saquon Barkley on the Chiefs. No, he's Saquon Barkley on the Giants. And I don't know if I think I saw a tweet once that he might sit out, but I don't know if that it was verified, but maybe there's some of that, like, the Bell situation from 2019 of, well, I'm not going to play. So maybe a little bit of both of those things and just uncertainty. Like he was tagged this year. What's he doing next year? He's not getting that 3-year contract that we were hoping for with somewhere that we wanted him to go. That would be my guess. So it mostly was him being flip-flopped. He was above Walker, and then the quarterbacks kind of just the Deshaun, Dak, Kyler, and Lamar all just went bloop, and just hopped up in front of him, and that caused that big jump.
So we saw the quarterback jumps. And then I also feel like this is the time of year where if someone's going to do a passing of the guard in their mind, a lot of times it happens looking back on the season. If they're going to move Kenneth Walker ahead of Saquon Barkley in their rankings, it's not going to be week 17. It's going to be week 3 of the offseason. They're going to come out there. They're going to go through. They're going to look at tape. They're going to analyze their rankings. And then this is when they start making that switch from the older players to the younger players.
Well, I should have said it was actually they re-signed Matt Breida, so they were worried about Saquon just losing those touches. That's really it right there. Yeah.
The monster, Matt Breida.
So we got Hal in the chat with a question for us in here. Wants to know, where are Swift and Montgomery at on this chart? So 2 free agent running backs that have been on the move. DeAndre Swift lost 12 points, down at 50, and David Montgomery gained 2, but recovering from a big drop, it looks like, down at 32. So Swift still significantly ahead, but lost a lot of value. Now similarly valued to Tony Pollard, Najee Harris, Javonte Williams in that range and that ilk. What do you think of that spot for Swift, Alex? Is that appropriate, an overreaction? Do you expect a correction back up?
No, I think it's probably not enough, to be honest. He probably should be closer to the Dalvin Cook tier, like down at 42, really. And then I would put David Montgomery higher.
Wow.
And I have a lot of Swift rostered, and I liked him. I think 2023 is not his year. I think maybe next year somewhere else he'll be it. But I mean, you don't sign someone like Monty if you're going to run Swift a bunch. Like,
I feel you on that. That we have to remember that the narrative on Swift was Matt Patricia was trying his hardest to save his job, and he was like, they were like, how can we? What's the one thing we could draft that could immediately impact this offense in a positive way? Well, we'll take a running back at the top of the second round. Right, like that was his last gasp to keep his job, but he's a holdover from the last regime. These new guys want to do their own thing. That doesn't mean that Swift can't catch on later. So I'm with you. I'm holding Swift just to see if maybe it is a situation where these guys just wanted a ground and pound guy like Jamal Williams or Monty, but another team's going to look at Swift and say, "Hey, that's exactly what we want."
Yeah. Jail, do you think this is appropriate? Are you more optimistic about Montgomery and maybe pessimistic about Swift like Alex here? Or is this a signal to go try to trade for Swift in your mind?
It depends. It depends on how low this value gets. Where he's at currently, I think the risk is probably he's appropriately priced for the risk. I mean, around Najee Harris, I would rather have Najee Harris all day. Javonte Williams, Tony Pollard he's interesting. He's where it gets interesting.
They did just add Ronald Jones. I bet this hasn't taken into account the Ronald Jones signing into Tony Pollard's value yet.
That's true.
It did not.
That's true. DeAndre Swift, I think, will be. I don't think that the outcome will be quite as bad as I think the picture Alex is painting, but I do think he's going to be impacted by David Montgomery. So I think the point Alex making is a good one. It's going to look different for him, and Swift is he's got to stay healthy. I mean, that's the bottom line. I think the David Montgomery signing is coming off the back of we have to rely on Jamal Williams. We can't rely on DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, the way I might handle Swift is like if I look around my league and I'm kind of rebuilding, and I have an older running back, I might look at the team. If there's a team that's trying to compete now that has Swift, maybe I say, hey, why don't I trade you this guy and you can start him, and I'll stash Swift to see it for his landing spot next year. Because he's only 24. You never know with these guys.
Yeah. Would you send Derrick Henry to get Swift?
If I looked around the room and gave myself like a 2% chance of winning the league or 5% chance of winning the league, like if my only good player was Derrick Henry, then I might consider doing that. Just because like the last thing you want to do is have no shot at winning, but then have a player like Derrick Henry that can just win you a couple matchups and make it so you come in like 9th instead of last. So.
I would rather just if you have Swift, I'd rather try and get a first rather than Derrick Henry. Like if it's Derrick Henry or DeAndre Swift, I'm probably just not making that trade, regardless of which side I'm on.
You just keep that. Even if your team like stinks, you'd rather just hold on to Derrick Henry till the wheels fall off.
A rookie pick in both situations.
Trade for something else. You don't trade for Swift.
Yeah.
You trade for
Right.
But what if the best? No. Yeah, you could probably still get a first for Henry. So I think you maybe.
According to these charts, both these guys are first round values this year. Yeah. Swift being a mid first and Derrick Henry being a late first. And I would do both of those trades.
Yeah. Now, if no one will give you a first, but someone's offering you Swift, would you do that or would you just hold on to Henry?
Let's just hold on to Henry.
Henry staying put. And Henry, I wanted to bring up just because it looks like he lost 4 points just for getting older. Is the 4 points good? Was that just Derrick Henry still around? And surely maybe this year he's a little
year older.
He's 31 days older, man. Like. No, it was the trade rumors, right? I'm sure. That was that.
Surely that's what did it. Yeah. Well, Alex, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us today. Everybody watching, if you're not already following our friend Alex, go and check him out on Twitter at PeaktonHS_FF and check out what they're doing over there at Draft Sharks. Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us today, my friend.
Always love hanging out with you guys.
Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
Trade Daddy. Maybe I got your money.
Well, guys, that is going to be it for us today. The Trade Daddy's out of here, and we are shortly behind him. But we will be back tomorrow with some more Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show fun from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, just like we are every day, Monday through Friday. Until then, though, we are out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody. Enjoy some Moose and Keith coming up next. And we'll see y'all bright and early tomorrow morning.